Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Monday stream. First things first, please tell me if the mic is any better today, because I just spent like 1.5 hours and I'm still not sure if it's better. I am not sure if it's better. A bit down? It's a bit too loud. Okay, I can adjust that. That's no problem. Not really. Like the problem is I really don't know. I don't know about it very well. I have no idea about this shit. I tried. Turn gain down. The gain is at 0. Worse? It's so confusing to me. It's very frustrating to me. It's very frustrating to me because I have no idea about it, and the freaking I changed nothing. I changed nothing from last year to this year, and for some reason it sounds so much worse. It's very frustrating to me because I have no idea what's happening. Did you try unplugging it? Oh, if I just unplug it now and I plug it back in and then it's fine, I'm gonna be pissed. Okay, yeah, now it's there's no way that does it, right? Hold up. So I can turn it. What do you mean that's way better? There's no way it's better. Bro, I just sat here for 1.5 hours reworking my entire settings. I reset my entire settings to 0. Freaking watched YouTube tutorials one after the other. And you were telling me all I needed to do was plug it at... Nah, man. Nah. There's no way. There's no way. There's no shot. Hold up. I'm gonna hold. I need to put. I can turn on a setting so that I can hear myself. Let me see. There's no way. Okay, is that actually? It's still not perfect, is it? But it's different. I don't know, man. I don't know, but is it at least watchable? Is my question for today. It's close to peaking. Okay, hold up. I can turn it. This is the lowest I can turn it on the mic itself. This is the lowest I can turn it on the mic itself. I don't know. As long as it's watchable, that's what I need to know. That's all I need to know is whether we can survive a day with it, because then I can spend some more time with it later. Maybe find someone on the Discord who knows that stuff better than me, and maybe sit down later tonight and fix it, because I was very busy this weekend, so I didn't have the time to fix it, and so I tried it this morning and it didn't work. But if it's watchable for today, then I guess it make I cannot believe that freaking plugging it out and back in was the way to go, dude. Oh my god, I could have saved so much time this morning. Anyways, all right. Another issue that I've just realized is I don't hear your guys' sub alerts. For some fucking reason, once again, I can't hear the sub alerts. I've had this issue a while ago, and then it was gone, and now it's back, which is frustrating. But I guess I just have to pay attention to the thingy on the right. So Mash Pancake, thank you for the 3 months. Zeon, thank you for the 14. Dracosack, thank you for the 13. Carl Drogo, thank you for the 17. Davidson, thank you for the 7. Caitlin, thank you for the 10. And Chris, thank you for the 3. And another Chris, thank you for the 15. All right. Also, Voldemort with the 24. 2 years. God damn, you don't even have a badge for that yet. I mean, we have to get that at some point. All right. And then the anonymous gift sub to Kill Ronin, who's now been subbed for freaking 5 months. All right, appreciate you as well, I suppose, a little bit. Appreciate you a little bit. Oh, now I can hear it again. Okay, I fixed it. Perfect. Software engineer, by the way. Okay, I can hear the subs again. Okay. Maxwin, thank you for the 7. Okay. This was part of the warm-up for today. This was part of the warm-up for today. Do you want to tell us how you lost against Blackwings yesterday? I made a crucial mistake against Blackwings yesterday, which was I did not roll very high. When at the start of the duel, you know how you roll the dice to see who goes first? Yeah, I didn't do very well at that against the Blackwing, but yeah. We'll talk about the regional later in a little bit. We have a lot of things to talk about today, which is cool. It's going to be an exciting day. A lot of things happening. Even though the format is kind of in this pre-Phantom Nightmare, pre-Maze of Millennia kind of state, I feel like it was an interesting weekend, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about my performance at the German Open yesterday, which wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the greatest. We'll talk about it. I had a good time regardless. It's fine. And we have some other stuff too. We have new cards. We have other big tournaments happening in the world. We have we had an Italian Open, which I want to look at. We had a big tournament in Germany on Saturday, which was in Berlin. I didn't go to that one, but it was also interesting. And we just have a lot of stuff to look at. We have an OCG Metagame Report. We have new cards to look at, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay. Anyways, warm up first. And then we you've already asked that question. Ray, thank you for the 70 months. Appreciate you. All right, let us begin now. Ooh, this looks familiar. Is this Fogblade? I think this is Fogblade. Yeah. It is the Fogblade. Ooh, this is the Kaiju Godarla. I think. No? Really? What else is that then? B-Trooper Flying Sting? Really? I would have sworn that was that. Okay, well. That is Spellbook of Knowledge, I think. Yeah. I was confused for a second because I was like, what is a lion doing on Spellbook of Knowledge? But I suppose there's some reason, probably. Escoto, thank you for the 18. Appreciate you. Welcome back. This is, I believe, a Witchcrafter, which means I'm going to skip it. Adele? You guys are saying Adele. It's a Witchcrafter. I was right. I just didn't know which one. Oh, what's that thing called? Is that just Tyrant Dragon? Was it Tyrant Dragon that this was called? It is Tyrant Dragon. Yeah, okay. Mayakashi? No. Is it? It might be, but the thing is I can't name it even if it is one. Oh, Mischief of the Yokai. I see. Thank you for the 11 months. Appreciate you. Thank you. Don't know that one. Speedroid. Oh, this is something sun. This has sun in its name. But Oracle of the Sun? Is it Oracle of the Sun? Oracle of the Sun. Yeah, that's the one. Opening of the Spirit Gates? Is that the one? Yeah. This is not Airlifter, the other one. Rescue a Fire Attacker. Fire Attacker. This might just be Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. I think that's the one. I think that's the OG, yeah. Ooh. Actually, no, I take back that ooh, because I have no idea what that is. Vengeful Servant, okay. Yang Xing. Is this 9 pillars? Yeah, I think it's 9 pillars. Yep. Today is the Maze of Millennia early openings. Oh, is it? I didn't know. That's interesting. We'll take a look at that. I have extra time later. We can watch it together if it's 5 p.m. as usual. I don't know how you know. Was that announced? Anyways, we can watch it. Oh, this is the train and tilt and tilting entrainment, not enchantment. I'm guessing the Ancient Warrior. Today is the day I'm guessing the Ancient Warrior. Deceptive Jiawen. I've said it. Okay, it's not. I'm skipping. VT Gary, thank you for the 8 months. I haven't found a new target yet. Reptilian. Naga. Infernity. Pawn. No. Infernity Knight. Is this Soul Claw? Soul Claw? Please be Soul Claw. Okay. I think that's... I don't have an opinion on what that is because I don't know. That's Mistworm. This is something edge. It's blade. It's a fusion with blade edge. No, plasma vice. Right, you're right. It has blade edge in it, I think, though, right? Surely? This is Stay Sailor, I think. Yeah. Sparkman and Blade Edge. Yeah, that makes sense. Who is he? I forgot. Bonds Alone. Right, that's the one. I don't know this one. Probably got Wheel in its name. Oh, there's Snipe Hunter. Poggers. Dice it. That doesn't even have... Okay. Is this the Arcana Force? No. No, it's not. What is that? Anti-Alien. Alright. Alright, it'd be nice if I knew a card again at some point. This might be Ragnarok. Please be... Great Ogre. Oh, is it a Goki? It is. I thought it was a DDD. We have here. Oh, Nefarious... Okay. I think this one. Yeah. I think that's the Parshath Synchro, which would be this. Nice. No shot. Dark City. Yeah. Kaifu, thank you for the 12, the full year. Appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, this is a Crystron. I think it's this. Why did I think of the letter A when I saw that? I guess because the color, like amethyst. I think this is GG easy, but I have no easy way to search for that because it's. Oh, okay. I thought the star was between the GG and the easy. That's why I thought I was in trouble, but it wasn't. Okay, thank God. Oh, we had this recently. It's a predator plant. I forgot its name. Yeah, I have no out. I don't know the name. There's too many. I can't guess it. Moray Nepenthes. Okay. This is incantation support, but it's incantation. It's not Bookstone. Incantation Talus. Is it the ritual? No. I don't know what it is. Okay, whatever, man. I didn't even know that existed. This is a Sylvan. Sylvan. The orange, dude. Meek orange. What is that? Power Angel? Power Angel Valkyria. Okay, I didn't know that. That Rejuve? No. I think it's the thing on Rejuve. What is that called? Cave Dragon? Yeah, that is the thing on Rejuve, right? I wasn't tripping. I think that's the thing pictured on Rejuvenation. I hope. I hope I'm not chatting. Yes? Okay. This is an Infernoid, but I'm very bad with Infernoid names. Shit. It looks like a guitar. Is it guitardle? Yeah. Oh, not him again. I keep forgetting his name, dude. He's that big rock earth dude or whatever. I keep forgetting it. Cataclysmic. He comes back so often, dude, and I always forget. Eater of Millions? It's not for digits today, but we can get 700 or 800 maybe. Shark Cannon. Oh, that's Exosister. Is it Exosister? No, it's not. Melodious, I think. Not even that, dude. They made too many waifu archetypes, dude. Can't even tell them apart anymore. What's going on here? What is this? Dogmatica Nexus? Dogmatica Nexus. Thank you for the 4. Appreciate that. You said that with a lot of confidence. I believe that is Soul Release. Gem Knight. No. No. Tourmaline. Is there a different Tourmaline? No. Who is it then? I'm skipping it. I thought it was one of those two for sure. Amber. God damn it. Emerald? There's no way you thought that was Emerald. I guess maybe because the green background you thought that, I suppose. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I'll forgive you. Okay, who Megalol are all these cards, man? Orange. I'd appreciate some more information. Not a Laval, dude. It's not even... How is this not a Laval? Bro, I know none of these cards. I've never seen these. Okay, this is Hanewata. Give me 700 at least. For the love of God, what is this? Oh, yeah. I've seen it, but I don't know. Cry Havoc. Oh my god. This is a very old... This has a very weird name. Like Gap. Is it this? It's Gap. Horn of the Unicorn. No, wait, what is it called? Horn of Light. Oh my god, I almost choked. What's Horn of the Unicorn then? At least 700. That's fine. I can live with that. Another Ancient Warrior to boot. Okay. What's Horn of the Unicorn look like? Hold up. Horn of the Unicorn Yu-Gi-Oh. Oh, right. Right. Come on, man. Don't save your subs for this exact moment. 700 isn't even that bad. Come on, man. There were times where 700 was exactly our average. Come on, man. All right. Ooh, we're looking for a dark effect monster, high attack, lower defense. This is screaming Dark Arm Dragon. No. Level 5 or 6 dark monster. Level 5 or 6 dark monster. Less than 2800 attack, more than 1500 attack. Even less than 1000 defense. It's not Caius. It's not Caius because Caius has 1000 defense. All the monarchs have 1000 defense. And it's also not malicious because it's more than 1500 attack. And malicious is like, what, 800? So it's not malicious either. It can't be Jinzo because it's the year. The year is over 2008. Scirocco? I would hate if it was actually a Blackwing today. Okay, thank God it's not Scirocco. It's not a winged beast. Thank God it's not. Okay, it's a level 6 dark. Not a dragon, not a warrior, not a winged beast. Level 6 dark. What is this? Level 6 dark. Insector? Ooh. Giga. What's the defense on Gigamantis? Oh, good guess though. Good guess. That was a good guess. Is there a Dark World with these stats? Dark World, it's not Silva or Gold, but it could be. No, it's not Latinum. What's the stats on Lucent? No, it's not Lucent. It's not Lucent. Lucent has the exact stats, but the year does not match for Lucent. The year Lucent is too young. Damn. What's the year again? 2011 or 2010? Oh, it could be like a Steel Swarm. It could be some, yeah. Oh, come on, dude. Yeah, it was Steel Swarm Moth. It was Steel Swarm Moth. Okay. Well, Ryukoki is way too old. All right. Okay. Warm-up out of the way. Welcome everybody to the Monday stream where we have a lot of stuff to review from the weekend. And Bloodrain, thank you for the 15 months. Gaycoin, thank you for the 17. Fossilworth, thank you for the 15. Why I'm Still Hungry, thank you for the 15. Welcome back, everybody. Appreciate the support, everyone. Suspicious Looking Eye, thank you for the Prime. Once again, I hope the mic sounds bearable today, because I looked back into the last stream and I do recognize it was significantly worse than before. I don't know what changed. I didn't change anything. I hope it's better now. I'll go back to reviewing it. I didn't have enough time over the weekend. I spent an hour or two this morning, but I'm not the best at this kind of stuff, so I hope it's fine today. I hope it's fine today, but I'll look into it again before tomorrow, probably. Sounds normal right now. Okay, then I am still baffled by the fact that someone in chat just said, have you tried plugging it, like unplugging it and plugging it back in, and that shit actually worked. I'm so frustrated. Anyways, yes. Zim, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Uno Violo, thank you for the 17. Lichtlärm, thank you for the 11. Dude, so many. I'm still surprised so often when I see these high sub count numbers. Really, thank you guys so much for coming back every time and supporting. Appreciate that. Okay, I have opened a lot of tabs because we have a lot of things to look at for today. And also, someone in chat earlier said that today could be the day of the Maze of Millennia influencer openings. I didn't know about that. If it's true, we'll look at that later as well. That should be 5 p.m. if it's true. I don't know where they had that info from. Maybe it's been posted on the Konami website or something like that. I don't know, but we're going to look at it later. Can we talk about your deck? Oh yeah, we will. I'll show you my deck from regionals yesterday. Even though I didn't do so well, I still think it's interesting to look at. I keep saying, like, it's important to look at your quote-unquote failures. I don't want to call X3 at a regional a failure, because it's not. I don't feel so bad about it. But it's important to look at the stuff that didn't work out. Pretty much almost as important, if not more important, than looking at the stuff that did work out, you know? So we're going to take a look at it still. It's not going to be much news to you guys who've been watching the stream last week, because I played the Bestial Runic that we talked about on stream. But yeah, we'll talk about it anyways. I'll present to you what I ended up deciding on, and so on and so forth. All right, AMIOCE, thank you for the Prime, and Exim, thank you for the gift sub. Appreciate that. Let's hop into some new cards. First things first. We have a card that we have already seen the artwork of, which is called Spell Card : Monster Reborn. I believe this thing is called a colon. Native English speaker, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's called colon. Spell Card : Monster Reborn. And it looks like this. And it's a quick play spell. And it's actually not that bad. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. Target a monster in either graveyard, special summon it to your field, but it cannot attack or activate its effects this turn. I think this card is somewhat interesting and better than I thought, because when I saw the artwork, I was kind of expecting it to be like, you know, anime support, whatever. And usually that stuff doesn't turn out too well, right? Because I mean, I'm remembering, for example, one card that came into my mind right now was the card called Monster Reborn, which was, it's not a trash card, but it's also not really a good card. I think this card is interesting because it's a new take on a revival spell that, of course, if you revive your own monster with this card, it's worse than the card Monster Reborn, which is legal, you know. The Monster Reborn is at 1, right? Even the fact that I have to ask this shows you how little Monster Reborn is seeing play. Some people play Monster Reborn, but it's not really seeing play much, right? It exists, but it's not really there. Like, it's not really that relevant. So just a revival effect on a singular card isn't super powerful. The fact that they made this thing a quick play spell, and they made it able to target your opponent's monsters in their graveyard, gives it some added utility, though. Like the fact that you can just, your opponent is trying to do something with stuff in their graveyard, you just reborn it, right? Like, you can think of plenty of situations where it could come up, like Fire King Runics, Fire King, they destroy Fire King Barong in their turn, and in your draw phase you just reborn it to your field, which is like, that's pretty good because you steal they don't get the search, and you get a free body on the board. That's not bad. You take Ponix before they add it back to their hand. You could have stolen a tier name in Tierlament format. You can do any kinds of graveyard disruption with this kind of card, plus you get a body out of it. I do like the fact that they gave it cannot attack and not activate its effects, because I think that sort of thing is good. One note is that cannot activate its effects this turn is not as bad of a restriction as like negate its effects, for example, right? Like, because you can steal something like, if you can steal something like a Baron with this on your turn, and then you pass, it's going to be live on your opponent's turn. Like, it's only for this turn that you can't use it. So that's interesting. You can dodge Called by the Grave, all that kind of stuff. It's got a lot of utility to it, I think. I could see this card seeing play. I mean, you guys remember when we played, what was the card called that had this lost art, the quick play spell? Foolish... is it Foolish Return? It's Foolish Return, right? The quick play spell. We played that card for a while during, what was it, Branded format? It was like when Branded was a thing, you would side it for Branded, because you can just, interrupt stuff like Branded in red, all that kind of stuff. I think messing with your opponent's graveyard on a quick play spell is a powerful thing, right? It's a powerful ability to be able to mess with your opponent's graveyard. And the fact that it also is able to be used in your own turn, right? Like, if you need an extender on your first turn, you can just use it. It's fine, if I need an extra link material, if I want to revive a tuner, anything like that. I think this is a good card. I don't think it's powerful enough to go like, oh yeah, this is the next main deck staple. But for a quick play spell with decent utility, I could see this seeing play in the right format. Probably not as a main deck card. I don't think it's good enough as a main deck card unless the format is very centered towards one deck that's really graveyard heavy. But like, for example, I can see this card being good in Fire King format in the OCG right now. Like, if it comes out in the OCG right now, people might start messing with it. But I like this design. It's one of those cards that, once again, we've had a couple of these recently. We've had a couple of these recently, and I like it. Why not just run OG Reborn? Because it being a quick, being able to mess with your opponent's graveyard as a quick effect is much better. Like, I can't quick effect. I can't steal my opponent's Barong in the draw phase with regular Monster Reborn. I can't, if they have a Garunix in the graveyard and they activate it, I can't reborn that with the spell card. Like, a quick play over a normal spell is a massive deal. Like, it's a massive deal, I think. Yeah, this card's cool. Way better than I expected, for sure. And it's going to be interesting to see if this actually finds its way into the meta, because it's one of those cards that's like on the verge of actually meta playable, right? But very nice design. I like it. I think it's very, very nice. And now for stuff that I haven't read yet, there's an entirely new archetype called it's called Raika in the OCG. We don't know what it's going to be called for us yet. But it is an archetype. That's how I figured out that much. But it's like a Tri-Brigade sort of style archetype, because it consists of 3 types. I believe it's plants, reptiles, and insects is like the deal with this archetype. It's kind of like these 3 archetypes combined. I have not read the effects yet, so let's hop right in. I don't know how many cards they got even. I've only seen people on Twitter really say they like the artwork and everything, like it's a cool archetype. Let's see. We have, first off, a little Raika plant, which is it's a cool looking plant. We have a level 1 here. You can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second effect once per turn. You can special summon this card by sending an insect, plant, or reptile from your hand to the graveyard. Okay, there we go. The 3 types indeed are insect, plant, and reptile. If this card is normal or special, you can add up to 2 of your Rika cards with different names that are banished and or in your deck to your hand, except itself. Then banish a Rika card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except the 3 types. Okay, so that's very powerful. That is something a lot of decks would love to have. Special summon from hand by discarding one of the monsters with the type, then adds 2 cards from banished or deck to hand, and then has to banish a Rika card from hand. I wonder if they're gonna give Rika, if they gave Rika a card that triggers when it's banished, that shit's scary. Right? Like, if I can just summon this, add 2 cards, one of them being a card with a banish effect, that would be scary, but we have to check the other cards for that. One thing that's worth noting is that this card actually doesn't go plus unless you discard good cards for it, right? Like, if you don't discard an insect, plant, or reptile with a graveyard effect for this, this card actually does not go plus, because you, let's say you start with, you have this card and 1 other card in your hand, so you're at a total of 2 cards. You discard the other card in your hand to summon this, so you go down to 1 card total. You search 2 and then banish 1, so you still only have, you have 1 card on the field, 1 card in hand. But obviously the search potential there is huge. We have Rika no Yahazu Kamikiri, a level 3 insect. You can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. You can special summon this card from your hand by placing one of your banished insect, plant, or reptiles on the bottom of the deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for the link summon of a Rika monster, you can target a level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile except itself and special summon it. Okay. Immediate combo that I'm seeing is we special summon this, we add 2 Rika cards including this, we banish the other Rika card. That means we can now special summon this thing by putting the banished thing back to the bottom, and then we can revive whatever we discarded for this thing. And then we have 3 bodies on the board off of just this one. Okay. And then here we have a reptile. Okay, so first, okay. It starts with extra deck monsters down here. So first wave, I suppose we only get 1 plant, 1 insect, and 1 reptile. That's not that many. We have Rika no Yoroi Tokage, which is a level 4 dark reptile. You can only special summon with the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second one. Okay, they all have similar kind of structure to it. Special summon this card by banishing insect, plant, or reptile from the grave. Okay, so this one discards, this one places back from banished, and this one banishes from the graveyard. You can discard an insect, plant, or reptile, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Okay, since this is not a quick effect, I think this one is by far the weakest one so far. It's good going second, the ability to have that, but discard 1 to bounce a card is kind of mediocre, I would say, especially on something that does nothing going first except special summon itself from hand. But maybe that's enough. But I don't think this one is particularly strong compared to the others. Okay, and it seems to be a link focused deck, because nothing here was a tuner, I don't think. Nothing here was a tuner. And yeah. 2 monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Also, you can't special summon monsters the turn you activate them, except insect, plant, and reptiles. You can target a Rika monster in your grave, special summon it in defense. Okay, so we're link climbing again. That's, I mean, I guess if they're gonna put link climbing on link 2s, at least it's on something that locks you into insect, plant, and reptile for the entire turn. But, you know. If this card is in your grave, you can target an insect, plant, or reptile, place it on the bottom if you do special summon this card. Okay, that's kind of scary, because it just gives the deck a lot of link climbing. It doesn't really, this is exactly what it's here for. It does nothing else, right? It's just link climbing the card, you know? But that's strong, you know? Of course, it requires you to have strong links to climb into, so it depends on other stuff, but we'll see. We have Rika no Okami Nushi, which is a link 3. So we had a link 2 plant, we get a link 3 insect, which is 2+ monsters, including an insect, plant, or reptile. Can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. Banish 2 insect, plant, and or reptiles from your grave. Add a Rika trap from your deck to your hand. Okay. If this card's in your grave, target an insect, plant, or reptile, place it on the bottom, and if you do, special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn except insect, plant, reptile. Okay, this is the same secondary effect on the link monster. Yeah. The exact same. Rika no Kuzarigami. 2+ monsters. This is the link 5. Okay, so we get... Okay, no, we get more than 3 link monsters. We have a link 4 reptile, which is the same summoning condition. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can make both players unable to activate monster effects in the hand for the rest of this turn. If your opponent activates a monster effect, you can make both players unable to activate monster effects in the hand for the rest of this turn. This is a very weird effect. This is a very weird effect because basically, for example, going first, this is like after your opponent uses this first hand trap, they can't use any more, but it doesn't stop the first hand trap. It's like if your opponent ashes something after you already have this, you can lock them out of doing nib later. But this is a link 4. At the time where you have a freaking link 4 on the board, you can already get nibbed in response to this shit. Right? Like they probably use their imperm, their veilers, their ashes, whatever. Oh, it's even monster effect, doesn't even apply for imperm, but like any hand trap, they would have already used it. The same is true with Maxi. Like, how are you saying this is anti-Maxi? This is a link 4. By the time your opponent has Maxied, I guess it can help. Okay, one thing it can help with that doesn't apply to us in the TCG, but it could apply in the OCG, is that if you take the Maxi challenge to OTK, maybe you can be like, okay, I can resolve this at some point, and then it doesn't matter what my opponent draws now. I can just push through the Maxi and try to kill them, because whatever hand traps they draw, they can't use it. Like, if you don't have nib at this point, you know, but you are right. The way this triggers is very weird, because it can only respond to an opponent's monster effect. So if my opponent Maxis me and I start playing with the insects and my opponent knows I have this card, I can just not use any monster effects until I draw nib, and then I just nib them, and then it doesn't matter. So I don't know. This card's weird. And the second effect is the same as on all the others. But this effect is very, very weird. Not in a bad design way. I think it's a fine. I think the idea of the design here is interesting. I just don't think it turned out very good. Putting this kind of thing on a link 4 just doesn't make that much sense. It would have made more sense on like a link 2. It kind of cooks some decks. I mean, yeah, if you make it going first as an end board piece, because I was just looking at it from a way like playing through hand traps. Is there any deck out there that this really cooks when you make it going first? I suppose Vanquish Soul can't do shit. Like, they go normal summon Raisin, you go effect. No hand effects for the rest of the turn. So you can't bring out Jiaolong. You can't... Like, you can chain Borger to bounce the Raisin at that moment, but later on you can't anymore. You know? I think that is the better way to look at it, actually. Dangers, whatever, you know? Those kind of... There might be some strategies that just randomly fold to this card when you make it on... When you pass on it. Yeah. Bestials. Yeah. Okay, I see it. I can see it from this point onwards. Yeah. Yeah, if they go normal summon Ponix, and then they want to go Fire King Island to search Garunix, they can't trigger Garunix in hand. They can't use Kirin in hand either. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, that's fair. That's, But in that sense, I don't like the design so much anymore, because in that sense, we've already figured out you can't use it on your own turn to like protect you from hand traps, because that's not working. But if you can only use it on your opponent's turn, it's just a floodgate, right? Like, what we've now figured out is how to use this card effectively, which is turning it into a floodgate against certain decks that really rely on this kind of stuff, which is kind of wonky. But okay. The thing about this is that this is not something completely exclusive to the Raika deck, because you could make this in a different deck if you wanted to. If it was really good into a specific matchup, I could make this with, like, you know, whatever plant, insect, or reptile you can access from the extra deck. I'm sure there's like a generic rank 2 reptile or something like that, or link 2 rather, or something, you know. Rika? I don't think Rika can make this because it's a reptile. Rep Prodokus to change type. You should be able to access it with Promethean Princess. It is fire, but Promethean Princess isn't one of those three, surely. Don't tell me Promethean Princess is a freaking reptile. There's no way it is. Fiend, yeah. Okay, let's move on. Raika no Dayuga, which is a Link 5. Okay, it makes sense. I mean, it's a Link climbing archetype, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it does make sense that they give them Link 2, 3, 4, 5. We have, you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If a monster is special summoned from your opponent's deck and or extra deck, you can destroy 2 monsters on the field. Okay. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target an insect, plant, or reptile you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do special summon this card... Ugh. All right. That is... I mean, 1 SP just cooks this thing, right? I don't think it's that good of an end board piece. I don't think it's that good for an end board piece. Like, popping 2 monsters is a powerful effect, but on a Link 5, well, you get the Link 5 relatively easily. But, like, your opponent has to trigger it first, and then you can pop 2 monsters, and then your opponent probably just keeps playing. I don't know. I don't think it's... I mean, you take it, right? If it's easy to summon, you take it, you use it, it's fine. It's not a bad card. But I don't think, from what I've seen here, what we can end on, even if we could end on, like, I don't know, this plus this, it wouldn't be the end of the world for most decks, which I don't even know if you can. Anyways, we have a continuous spell card. Raika Ryuran Kuruisaki. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. All insect, plant, and reptiles on the field gain 300 attack and defense. Also, all other monsters lose 300 attack and defense. You can activate one of these effects. Add a Raika from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. Okay, good. Special summon one of your Raika monsters that's banished or in your hand or your grave in defense position. Okay, this is kind of like a... This is like a Kashtira Birth that also adds, but you can't do both in the same turn. But that's still really good. This is still really, really good. That level 4 is now 2600 defense. What the fuck? That's not what I'm worried about. Out of all things, that is not something to be worried about. The fact that this makes the level 4 monster now 2600 defense. That's okay, probably. That's okay. Nah, this card's obviously really good, but a card like this one always very much depends on is the rest of the archetype good enough? Because a Rhoda or like a Searcher only makes the deck more consistent. So if the deck is not already powerful, then okay, we'll have to check out what you can do with these. And here is the trap card, the only one, because this is the last card. We have Raika Dairin Kubikarimai. Trap, normal trap. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. target cards your opponent controls up to the number of insect, plant, and reptile link monsters you control with different types. Destroy them. Okay, that's a good effect for a searchable trap. That's kind of like Sword Soul Blackout, but better. Because you don't have to destroy your own thing. And you just get to pop multiple things. That's pretty cool. That's a pretty good trap. If a face-up insect, plant, and or reptile monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your grave, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card, then target a monster your opponent controls to destroy it. Okay, that's a good trap. I like that. You probably wouldn't play more than one because you can search it with the link earlier, but you know, kind of like a Blackout, Icarus Attack kind of vibe, Salamangreat Rage kind of effect, and then a good graveyard effect later on as well. I dig it. That's fine. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, the one thing that I can think of is if you open with this little dude, right? Let's think this through for a second. You open with this dude, you discard another insect, plant, or reptile. Let's not think about what that is yet. You search this thing and this thing, just as an example, and you banish this from your hand. And then you can use this in your hand by placing the banished one back to the bottom of the deck. So you have, at this point, you have this dude on the board and this dude on the board, which you can now link both off into the link 2, which triggers this thing to target a level 4 or lower insect, plant, or reptile. So you have to link 2, and I guess, let's say you revive this, right? And then you get this, which is target a Rika in your grave, special summon it in defense. So you bring back this, which means you have this and the 2 other bodies on the board. So you have link material worth 4. So you make the link 3, which means you keep one of them on the board, which allows you to bring this back by targeting the other monster. So you have both of the links on the board. Now maybe you can search the trap. I don't know if you have enough stuff in the graveyard to do so. So you search the trap card, and then you can link climb into either the link 4 or the link 5, right? You can't do both at this point. So you end on off of just this one card, even without thinking at the combos much. This level 1 ends up with the link 5 plus the trap card. And you haven't normal summoned. Which isn't terrible at the same time. It's, I don't know, but this is the only good draw though, right? The only good monster to start with is this dude. What if I start with this or this? They don't do anything, right? And to search it, well, yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. But still, like, it seems like a lot of it is engine requirement, and only this one is actually good so far, right? I think this is, yeah, it does strike me as something you want to pair with other stuff, because it specifically doesn't mention, it doesn't lock you into Rikas or anything like that, right? It's just, it restricts you to insect, plant, and reptile, which aren't the most popular types in terms of how many cards they have, but still, you can combine this with pretty much anything you want, because they also don't need the normal summon, right? They don't need normal summons, and they don't restrict you from anything outside of these 3 types, right? So you could be pairing it up with anything from within those types. Right, you can, and it can even be a normal summon heavy. Like, you know, you can play, like, I don't know, maybe you can work something out with Naturias, because that's mostly insects and plants. You can, like, I don't know, another thing that it would be an easy normal summon plus link material would be something like Iperia, you know, just normal summon, draw a card, link it off. There's probably some good plants with some good graveyard effects, like Spore. Maybe you can lean into some Synchros. Freaking Diabolantis, maybe, you know, I don't know. Resonance Insect. There's some stuff you can pair up with this for sure, yeah. So it's hard to tell before people get cooking with this. Some of these cards are pretty good. Some of these cards are pretty good, I think. Xeon, thank you for the 18 months. Appreciate that. So yeah. All right. Let's just wait. Let's just wait and see what happens to this archetype before we think too much about it, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't love the design on these, because it's just another link spammy thing in my mind. I don't love that, but I suppose it's okay. It doesn't seem like the deck itself has ways to play around. Like, this seems to be like a huge choke point for the deck, right? It seems like this is a huge choke point, and a nib also, it doesn't have a way to play around nib and anything. Okay, I'll read Serpentine Princess, dude. It seems like the only thing that makes like 1,000 people happy right now is if I read Serpentine Princess. Yeah, I'm reading it. Calm down. For the love of God, calm down. If this face-up card is returned from the field to your deck, select and special summon one level 3 or lower monster from your deck to your side of the field, then shuffle your deck. Okay. So you can, yes, you can summon Serpentine Princess and then put it to the bottom of the deck with one of the link monsters. And then you can special a level 3 or lower monster from your deck to your side of the field. Okay. Domberg, thank you for the 7 months. Appreciate that. Yeah, okay. I have read Serpentine Princess. Noted. Thank you. Thank you for telling me approximately 200 times to read that card. Appreciate that. It'll come in very handy for my next card guesser run, I think. When this comes up, I probably would have not known the artwork, but now I do. So that's gonna come in handy. Thank you. All right. All right, let me... Those were all the new cards, I think, that we had to look at. And we're hopping into regionals in just a second. We'll talk about regionals and all that kind of stuff in just a second. There's only one more thing before we do, and that is the very first OCG Metagame Report from 2024. And this is also the first one with the new OCG Forbidden and Limited list. And I mean, the Fire Kings have completely taken over, completely annihilated everything else, man. Of course, this was to be expected because the last ban list, we've talked about the last OCG ban list, and it basically left Fire King completely untouched because it also didn't touch any of the Sinful Spoil Snake Eye cards. And before this ban list, it was like a lot of Fire King, but also a lot of Rescue Ace. And then the last ban list only hit Rescue Ace. So now it's only Fire King at the very top. So the OCG is getting kind of close to a not so diverse format anymore. I'll say it like, you know, with a little bit of caution. 34% is quite a lot. But we have some other stuff which I think is more interesting to look at, because Fire King, once again, it wasn't forced to really change by the last Forbidden and Limited list, so it still looks somewhat like this. It's kind of the OCG Fire King decks that we've been seeing have all been looking kind of like this. It's worth noting that Drolan Lockbird is another card that's making its way into main decks in the OCG now because of how good it is against Fire Kings. And I mean, it's just a little... Anyways, moving on. Thank you for the 24 months. Appreciate that. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, Drolan Lockbird. I mean, Drone Lockbird already is in everyone's deck in the TCG as well, but I think it could go. It could be a main deck card after Phantom Nightmare again. That's the most interesting part. And then like cards like Cosmic Cyclone and Soul Release, which are currently not seeing that much play in the TCG, are a thing. We're gonna look at these sort of things probably in a dedicated YouTube. I'm gonna make a YouTube video, and we're also gonna do it on stream, discussing like new kind of tech cards once we get to this format, because Fire King format is happening soon enough for us. And then we're gonna look at, you know, these kind of tech cards that people are using in the OCG right now. Soul Release is popular. Cosmic Cyclone, Droll. I believe, are people actually citing Lancea to counter Soul Release? Is this what's going on? Or is that more for Infernoid? Because like Soul Release, just so I understand at a broader level, I think Soul Release is here for going second, right? You let your opponent set up, and then you Soul Release like the Promethean Princess out of their graveyard and all that, right? And like the targets for Flamberge and Garunix and Princess and all the level 1 fires, you take it all out with Soul Release, and then you can win the grind game, right? So, and people are playing a lot of Soul Release in different decks. I've seen it. So maybe people start citing Lancea to counter Soul Release and Cosmic, which would be funny. But yeah, we'll look at that more in more detail in a couple of weeks. In a couple of weeks, we'll take a look at new tech cards for the next format. That's something that's going to happen for sure. We have a Branded Andy with 2 grass and Thrust into Shaddoll Fusion in its side deck and shit like that. We have Voiceless Voice, which I still haven't gotten used to this name. I don't know. What was the name before? I forgot the name. I forgot the name, dude. Silent Force. Dude, Silent Force is cooler. Never mind, dude. I'm not gonna, you know, worry about it. We have Silent Force, which is also coming in Phantom Nightmare. We're gonna take a look at it once Phantom Nightmare drops. And there's not that much else going on. I wish they included a Ritual Beast list. But yeah, it's fine. I'm not gonna go through all the things at the bottom to try and find it. Because you can. I can send you the link in chat right now if you guys want to. They always have their sources at the bottom, which is the individual tournaments they get the lists from. So if you want to look for an individual list from up here, you can go and check those. But there's a lot of different tournaments. I don't want to go and try and find one of the 4 Ritual Beasts in them. But it's cool. So new Ritual Beast support makes its way into some tournaments. We still have Infernoble. We have Pure Snake Eye. And a whole lot of stuff, you know, a whole lot of stuff. Giga Chad down here with the Naturia Runic. Love to see that. Okay. But mostly the big story is Fire King now in the OCG. They didn't do anything about the Snake Eye stuff, so the Snake Eye stuff still dominates. So that's that. Not too much else to really report from the OCG, which was to be expected. Okay. Now back to the TCG. And we're gonna take a look at the first week of results after the new Forbidden and Limited list, because even though of course the format is going to change in a couple of weeks, it still is important to understand how the situation is looking right now in order to maybe think about how the new stuff from Phantom Nightmare and Maze of Millennia is going to change and impact the format. You want to understand the current situation as best as possible, obviously. And this was the first weekend of tournaments in 2024. And we have a lot of things to report from. We have a big tournament in Germany on... Well, we had a big tournament in Germany on Saturday. It wasn't a regional or anything like that. It wasn't anything official. It was just I think they had about 250 people, and that one was taken down by, I believe, Labyrinth. And we're gonna take a look at some of the breakdowns from that event and stuff like that. And then on Sunday we had some of the bigger hitters. We had the German Open, and we had the Italian Open. With myself also, I was at the German Open. Shout outs to everyone I met. Shout out to all the people who came up and said hi. I had a good time. I brought the Bestial Runic that we built on stream together last week. I'm going to show you the exact list in a second. I didn't do so well, unfortunately, but it was okay. I went X3, but it was okay. It was all right. I think I learned a couple things about Runic Bestial that I knew them. I talked about it beforehand, but it was just made a lot clearer to me now, because I don't think I hit a single person with a Bestial where it actually hurt, which is that is something that definitely goes to show once again how you guys remember how I've been saying freaking Runic decks are always very much dependent on the environment that you play them in, the rest of the format. So even though the deck almost didn't change from last format, I definitely felt the absence of good matchups, you know, like the no more Unchained, no more tiers that I saw. Speaking of tier, Drizzles, thank you for the 9 months and congratulations on winning the German Open with Tierlements out of all things. I have your deck profile already open in another tab. We're going to look at it in a second. Tierlements won the German Open 9-0. We're gonna look at the list in a second. Also, Pack, what's up? How you doing? Who I also have a deck profile of Pack open because he won a regional in the US with freaking, what was it, Fire King Rescue Ace? I don't know, man. These people are doing crazy things in the format. We're gonna look at all of it. Congrats for winning a regional with that brew. So yeah, we have a lot of things to go through. First things first. Maybe we just start with the least exciting, or like, I mean, not least exciting, but like maybe let's just start with my own deck. Okay, so I have, let me adjust the mic a little bit. Let me know if you can still hear everything loud and clear, so I don't move my mic away too far rather. Okay, so I played Bestial Runic again, which was the deck that we cooked up on stream. Well, I cooked up. We already discussed the changes on stream, but just because this is probably gonna also end up as a YouTube video, I'm just gonna go over what exactly I ended up deciding on for the regional, and talk about some of the new things, new additions to this deck, which at this point, nothing in here should be a huge surprise. People have already been doing this. Okay, by the way, I put autofocus on for this thing, but I think I'm gonna turn it back off. Frame 1, it's been annoying to me. I'm gonna disable autofocus on this thing. Yeah, because it just keeps messing around with me. I don't like that. All right, so yeah, let's just get into the deck, and then we'll talk about how it performed and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, X3 not the best result, but we're going to talk about that in a second. By the way, I think it's important. That's why I keep doing these deck profiles, even from tournaments where I don't do super well. I think it's important to look at your quote-unquote... okay, I'm just going to repeat that. Jane OCG, thank you for the 6 months. Appreciate that. I think it's important to look back at the tournaments where you didn't do as well as you maybe hoped to, because there's a lot to learn from that as well. And yeah, in this case, I played Bestial Runic, and I want to say I don't think my performance was due to you know, like being unlucky or the deck list being bad or anything like that. I simply don't think Bestial Runic is as strong as a choice for the current format as it was for last. It was already not the best deck last format. It was like a comfort pick last format, more on the tier 2/rogue category. For this format though, like at least last format, it had a lot of good matchups in the top tier decks. Like it was really good against Unchained, it was really good against Tier, and it was also good against Lab. So it had its really good matchups. And now the last ban list, has pretty much completely eliminated Unchained and Tier. Not entirely. Freaking Tier won the German Open, so it's not true, but I didn't see many, rather. I didn't play against any Tiers. I didn't play against any Unchains. And I really realized, okay, a lot of my matchups here are very dice roll dependent, because I played like 3 Runic mirrors, and the Runic combo mirrors are relatively dice roll dependent, and so like not the best situation for the Bestial Runic deck, and also Bestials in general weren't that great against most of the matchups I played against. Anyways, I keep talking too much. 3 Quests, 2 Ecclesia, and 1 Golden Sword Soul. This package was really good. I'm gonna repeat the new combo in a second. It's not really something that is a secret anymore. Other people who did well with the deck were already doing it. I played a mirror match in round 2 against Patrick, a friend of mine, who played the same deck. He was also on the Ecclesia technology, and I actually beat him in a feature match as well on the stream. Shoutouts to Lampy for hosting and streaming the event as well. And he was also playing it. I beat him, but I think he went 8-1 at the end. So he went completely undefeated after I beat him. So that was nice. So some people did still perform with the deck, or like did perform better than I did as well. So the deck is still able to perform. Anyways, I'll show you the combo behind the Ecclesia and the Golden Sword Soul in a second. And then it's 3 Lubellion. This is the same lineup as for Bologna, and we've talked about cutting potentially one of these Bestials, one of these Bestials in my last week's stream. I thought about it. The problem is they all 3 fulfill a very important role that I felt like I wasn't able to cut them, I don't think, because so Serenir gives you access to Regained, and spoilers, I took out 1 Regained. So I'm only playing 1 Regained already, so I really wanted to have the multiple Serenirs to be able to access Lubellion to have more consistent Regained access. That's why I didn't cut Serenir. Obviously, you don't cut Magnamud. The next obvious one would probably be to cut Baldrake, because it's probably the worst Bestial overall. I don't think that was a good idea, because Baldrake is the only one that actually has defensive capabilities on the opponent's turn. Because if you know this deck, I don't have a way, if I search Druisworm in my end phase with Magnamud, I have no way of turning that Druisworm into removal on my opponent's turn. I don't end on IP, I don't end on, I don't have Cartesia to fuse with it, I don't have Branded Beast to tribute it and then send the card. I have no way of turning Druisworm into a disruption actively, right? The only one that does that on its own is Baldrake, right? I searched Baldrake in my own end phase. It was the most common search for my Magnamud. Most of the time, I searched Baldrake to just be able to tribute my Dispatter after I used it or anything like that, just to banish something, right? So I don't think Baldrake was cuttable. At the same time, Druisworm not being a disruption on your opponent's turn, I still think it was way too important, because it's a Runic deck, and it doesn't have a battle phase, so the removal from Druisworm is also way too important. Long story short, for individual reasons, I think all the different Bestials are too important if you're playing a Bestial Runic deck. And that's why I didn't cut any. And then I still play, I guess it goes up here, the Bestial Alibur as a searchable tuner. Way too important. Then we have 3 Ash Blossoms as non-engine of choice still. Ash was okay. I wish I would have seen it a little bit more often. I didn't really see it in the important scenarios. But it was a fine choice, especially in a format where there's a lot of different things going on. You don't know exactly what you're gonna face. Ash is fine. It's good against the Runic decks, it's good against Fire Kings, it's good against Rescue Ace. It's got its uses in every matchup. I like it. And then we had the same amount of Runics, which I'm gonna be honest with you, some of my losses were still due to not seeing enough Runics or not drawing Runics with Fountain. I wish I had 1 more, and I think I can already suggest you some changes at the end with how you can fit 1 more. And then obviously 2 Fountain, 1 Regained, and I still played 2 Dualities. So obviously the changes that we discussed on stream last week, I took out 1 Cartesia, 1 Duality, and 1 Regained for 2 Ecclesia and the Golden Sword Soul. And I think looking back, the reason why I kept playing Duality, and I struggle. I was struggling. I was sitting here Saturday night, moving cards around on my desk, being like, should I play Duality? Should I not play Duality? I really wanted to try without Duality, but then I gaslit myself into putting it back in, because I was already down on 1 regained, and I was like, what if I run out of extra deck cards? I need the recycling, right? I need the recycling. It's a good discard for Hugin. Worst case, if I don't need to dodge Imperma Veiler, right? And I was just scared of running out of my extra deck cards. Looking back, I think I would go play 1 extra Runic and 1 extra Ecclesia instead. But Duality wasn't bad. I don't think it was a Duality issue. The card is fine in this deck. I like it still, but I think I would try it without moving forward, I think. But yeah, Ecclesia was nice. And once I've shown you the extra deck, I'll show you the way to use the Ecclesia better than the Cartesia from the previous version in a second. So obviously the main deck is 40. And then the extra deck is almost the same. It's Hugin, Gary, Sleipnir, which, by the way, people have been saying cut Sleipnir. I don't understand. This card, this card single-handedly came up 4 or 5 times yesterday and has won me a lot of games. I like this card a lot. I think it's phenomenal. I wouldn't play a Runic deck without it anymore, I don't think, unless you have really like big issues with space in the extra deck, which this deck doesn't really have that major space issues, but yeah. And then obviously still the Alvain. And then a new card that came in for the Fabled Unicorn, and I've already talked, this is not going to be a surprise for anyone who's been watching the stream, because we've talked about this already. Centurion Legatia was a card that, looking back at YCS Bologna, I should have already played it there. I added it in place of the Fabled Unicorn, and it's came up 3 or 4 times. I like this a lot. Draws you a card, gives you a way to synchro in weird scenarios where otherwise you wouldn't be able to synchro, like Lubellion plus level 4, or Coral Dragon plus Bestial. Those are the 2 main scenarios for this. Draws you a card. Going second, it's even removal for when you don't have a battle phase, you can still pop something, which came up. And just being as flexible as possible with how you can combine your cards, I think is the main way to describe it. And it came up a lot. I made it like 3-4 times. It also, funnily enough, it protects your SP from being attacked over, because it says monsters with 2,000 or less attack can't be destroyed by battle, which did matter 1 time where my opponent was not able to force my SP with the battle phase, because they just can't attack over it while you have this. And then the rest is still, you have the 4 level 10s, all 100% needed. Scarlight, Coral, Tri-Edge, SP, and Typhon, which I pulled, by the way. I pulled a Starlight Typhon in my entry packs, which I guess I used up my luck for the day with that, but that was cool. I immediately switched it for my ultra rare one. Yeah, the extra deck is the same as it was for Bologna. If you were to swap the Duality out, what I did notice, and bad news for the budget, I mean, this deck's already not budget, but bad news if you're on some sort of budget. If you take out the Dualities, I would suggest a second Little Knight. That was by far the extra deck monster I was missing the most. Yesterday, was a second Little Knight. There was at least 2 games that I lost that I would have won with a second Little Knight. At least 2 that I can think of right now. But yeah. Other than that, the extra deck, if you cut Duality, just play a second Little Knight here, and it's perfect. No complaints. Everything came up multiple times. And it's all necessary. I think it's all necessary besides the Alvain if you don't play Duality. There's no way around it. Okay. Now, quickly, the side deck, by the way, I don't even have all my side deck cards with me right now because they are in some pile over there that I haven't sorted. I made only 2 changes to the side deck. I took out Phantasme and I took out Denko because I really didn't think Denko was necessary anymore, and Phantasme didn't have enough matchups where it could come in. And I decided to try... I wanted 1 more hand trap that I could pair with Nibiru to stop something like Baron, but I also wanted it to be able to hit Hugin against other Runic decks in the draw phase, so that's why I didn't pick Effect Veiler, but I also wanted it to be able to be used after I use a Bestial, because not you don't always want to start with the negate hand trap. Sometimes you want to start with the bestial. That's why imperm is weird, and so that's why I decided to play Mourner, because it works in draw phase and it works after a bestial. That's why I chose Mourner. And I added 2 Pankratops and a Duster to try it out. I was not. I am sad to report that I didn't like Pankratops as much in this tournament. I drew it a couple times and it never felt like it did enough. I'm not sure. I am not sure if I liked Pankratops enough. Duster was good in theory. I never drew it, but there was a couple scenarios where I wish I did. But yeah, I don't know. The side deck didn't feel that great to me because I was too worried on Saturday to how to build the main deck, and then the side deck was kind of like a last minute thing, and I didn't know exactly what to expect. Like, I didn't expect to play against 3 runic decks in the first 4 rounds. I luckily beat them all, but it was only because against 2 runic decks I won the dice roll, which is really important, and against the one where I lost the dice roll, which was my feature match, is where my opponent bricked in game 1. So, like, I got lucky in the runic matchups, I feel like, because my side deck wasn't that great for like runic decks. I guess the Mourner is okay for like the Hugin, but about that. Scarlight is the best card in this slot, I think, because it's not for duality. I don't tribute Lubellion for duality that often to make this. This is mainly a way to clear your opponent's board without a battle phase. This is the main reason why I use this card. I don't actually, it's not mainly here for time, it's not mainly here for duality, it's mainly just a good level 8 synchro for this deck particularly, because you can like make this, blow up your opponent's board, and then tribute it for Lubellion from the graveyard because it's a dark dragon. This is what it's mostly used for, right? You can Gary plus a level 4 synchro makes Scarlight, blows up the board, bring back Lubellion, get the regain, that kind of thing. Furious Dragon is an interesting option if you play Cartesia. Just for duality, it's not worth it. All right. The Quem combo. I'll use the Lubellion and one runic. So, just as a comparison, why I decided to go Ecclesia over Cartesia, I'm going to quickly show you what you do with the Ecclesia and the Quem, because they both work as a starter. Basically, previously, Quem via Cartesia was access to 2 level 4 tuners, right? That was the point of playing Quem, is you go normal summon Quem, send the level 4 tuner from deck to graveyard, summon Hugin, and then bring back the level 4. That way, you have 2 level 4 tuners out of 1 card. Very good. Quem still does that, but now it does even more, because Ecclesia is already 2 tuners. Because Ecclesia summons Golden Sword Soul from the deck, and what Golden Sword Soul does is, if a monster is banished face up, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard, special summon a light spellcaster monster from your hand or grave, whose attack equals its own defense. So, after you Ecclesia tribute to summon the Golden Sword Soul, if you synchro with it, later on, if you resolve a runic to banish a monster off of your opponent's deck, or you resolve a bestial to banish a monster from the graveyard, you can banish the Golden Sword Soul from the graveyard to bring back the Ecclesia. And this is how the Ecclesia alone is 2 tuners, right? It gives you access to 2 tuners because you get the 2 level 4s out of it, which in return makes Quem, which previously was 2 tuners, now makes it 3. Because it's Quem itself, Ecclesia, which is 2, is 3 tuners, right? And so in an ideal world, it's not that hard to do, if you open Quem, access to a bestial, and freezing curses, or not freezing, any runic, what you do is you go Quem, you send Ecclesia to the graveyard, right? You activate freezing curses to bring out Hugin. You activate Hugin or not, and for this example, it doesn't really matter. But Quem brings back the Ecclesia. The Ecclesia summons the Golden Sword Soul, right? So here, this is normally where you would already be with, if this was Cartesia, you would have 2 tuners, and you would be done here, basically, with the amount of tuners you would get, right? So you make a level 6 synchro. I usually make Tri-Edge in this scenario to draw a card, and then I make a Baron. And this is where previously it would end with the tuning combos, right? Like Quem plus Runic would make a Baron for free, get the Fountain, and then if you had a Lubellion on top, you could get Regained and make an SP with Bestial plus another Runic usually. But what you could do now is you use the Lubellion. In this case, you would fetch a Magnamute if you are lucky enough to open the Lubellion. You go summon the Magnamute by banishing the Tri-Edge from the graveyard, right? And then the Golden Sword Soul triggers because a monster was banished face up, and it revives the Quem from the graveyard here, right? And now you can make a Dispatter here, right? The Dispatter, which is the coolest thing about this is that the Dispatter brings the Golden Sword Soul back into rotation. So it hits the graveyard, and then on the opponent's turn, like, the Ecclesia goes back to your hand in the end phase. It has the same effect like Cartesia. The only difference is that it's not that this is actually mandatory, so you are not even allowed to forget it. You would then tribute the Dispatter for Lubellion, grab the Regained. Where's my Regained? Give me my Regained. Right? Grab the Regained. You can make a Legacia here. Draw another card, and so on and so forth. On the opponent's turn, you use a Bestial or use a Runic, then trigger the Golden Sword Soul to bring back the Quem, to send another Ecclesia from the deck. If your opponent summons from the extra deck, the Quem brings back the Ecclesia as well. A lot of free bodies that are relatively hard for your opponent to deal with. Because they already have to deal with the other stuff that you have, and running over these is not easy because Legacia stops them from being destroyed by battle and so on and so forth, right? And so, basically, if you open Ecclesia, the combo is almost the same as it used to be with Quem, because Ecclesia is 2 tuners. But now if you open Quem, it goes completely nuts because it gives you access to 3 tuners and more in the long game, because the Golden Sword Soul, you are able to loop it back into the graveyard with the Dispatter and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And I'm convinced that this version is better. I'm convinced that this version is better than what I played at YCS Bologna. But the thing that changed, once again, the thing I want to emphasize on, which is very important, I've talked about it a lot on recent streams, is how Runic decks, even if this deck in its core is still exactly the same as before the ban list, like in a very simple logic, with very simple logic, you could just say, okay, other decks received some hits, this deck didn't. This deck even got better with this version, I think. And it still doesn't perform, it doesn't feel as good as it did before the ban list. Why is that? That's because Runic decks, I feel like, are majorly dependent on the environment that they're in. And what I mean by that is that this deck heavily benefited from the fact that the Bestials were such good non-engine last format, right? Like freaking Unchained, Tier felt like such good matchups for this deck. They felt like such good matchups. And let me tell you, my matchups in the tournament yesterday were not kind for Bestials. Like 3 Fire decks, like 3 Fire King decks, 3 Runic decks, a Vanquish Soul, and I played against 1 Blackwing, which I lost to, where Bestials would have theoretically been good, but I didn't have any. The environment has changed, and I think it's not very good for Bestial Runic specifically, because the Bestials don't really feel like non-engine anymore at this point. At this point, they feel like combo pieces. Which is, I mean, they're still good cards, but it doesn't feel like they're actually stopping your opponent from doing anything, right? Like at YCS Bologna, if I lost a dice roll and I opened a Bestial, I felt at least somewhat capable of grinding with most of the decks that people played. Right now, it doesn't really feel like the Bestials accomplished that much on their own, which doesn't necessarily mean that Runic decks are dead. The deck is still very much capable of doing well. But I'm not even sure if this is the best version of runics right now. If you want to play a runic deck, I feel like some other runic variations might even feel better. Maybe you have to cook something up. I don't know, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not disappointed because I mean I was hoping to do better. Of course, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was hoping to do better because I like this deck so much and everything, and I felt okay going into the event with it, but I didn't expect as much because I knew Unchained was gone. I knew Tier was going to be way less popular than before, so I didn't expect to have a lot of good matchups. I expected it to be more like an uphill battle, and it was. So it's okay. It's okay. It was worth a try. I think it was fun, but you know, the matches I lost, I can actually hold up. Just so I don't make shit up, just to remind myself. Okay, so round 1 I win against Furhire Runic Sprite, which was honestly probably down to the dice roll and nothing else, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of things that I like about runic decks, but combo runic mirrors are not good. No matter what anyone tells you, well, there is skill involved, 100%. But most of the time, if both players are somewhat competent and don't brick, the player going first is very much favored. So I won the dice roll, win game 1, lose game 2, win game 3, very standard for a runic mirror. Then I pulled this beauty out of my entry packs, phenomenal. Round 2 was a feature match. You can probably still watch it. It's with German commentary, but it was not very exciting. So because I lost the dice roll, but my opponent bricked game 1 completely, and game 2 also didn't go first with a very good opening. Like, the opening was better than game 1, but it was still not good because they had to like tribute summon a Bestial over Hugin, then summoned another runic to draw with Fountain, then made SP and pass. And so I was just like, you know, yeah, I was able to play through that. And then round 3, I lost the Blackwings. Yes, I lost the Blackwings. I lose the dice roll, man. So I lose game 1 because I draw no Bestial, no Ash, right? And then I win game 2 because I went first. That's all the explanation you need. And then game 3 was the most frustrating. Was it Batuhan? Yes, it was Batuhan, which is the even more frustrating part. So game 3, they go first. They go Imseti, discard Ash, and I Ash it. So they're down to 3 cards in hand. They go Prosperity and take Small World, activates, and I have Droll, but I let them Small World. Like, I let him take the Small World. I'm like, okay, I'll just let them banish a hand trap for the Small World or something, and then draw them after. In a second, I'll read in a second. And then so I let them Small World. They add the Simoon or whatever it's called. They have 2 cards in hand after the Small World. They banished Bell for the Small World, by the way. And then I drolled them. And so they have 2 cards in hand, and they pass. I have 4 cards in hand. And my freaking hand is 2 Runic Fountain, Branded Regained, and Nibiru. So I'm like, god damn it. But I know that Simoon, or whatever the dude is called, has to banish a Blackwing from hand. So I go activate Fountain, activate Regained, so that I can at least draw a card with Regained on the opponent's turn. And maybe if it's a Bestial, I can easily live with Bestial plus Nib. If it's a Runic, that's fine, you know. So I pass. They go Simoon, banish a Blackwing. I put it back with Regained. I draw a second Nib, and I die through 1 Nib. Very frustrating, but okay. And then they were like, oh, because you lost to Blackwings, you now have to admit on stream that Blackwing is a good deck, which I said no, I won't. I'm not lying to my stream, but okay. Round 4, I also, the Blackwing, you guys be careful. The Blackwing community is probably very happy right now because I've been hating on Blackwing in the past. I've been saying I don't like Blackwings, you know, and they've been insulted. They were like, oh, don't talk shit on my Blackwings. You guys be careful. You guys know what happened to Mathmech Circular. You guys, be quiet, okay? Be quiet. Otherwise, I haven't figured out. After we've defeated Mathmech, Rika has taken huge hits. If you guys are not careful, Samoon is the next Circular, okay? I'm just saying. I haven't decided yet. It's up in the air. Who's the next Circular gonna be, okay? So if you're not quiet right now, only because you won a freaking dice roll against me in round 3 of a regional, okay? If you're not careful, people are gonna come to me in a year and ask me to sign their Samoons, all right? So calm down. Round 4, I win the dice roll against Runic Life Twin Sprite. I will say I don't think this one mattered as much, the dice roll, because this is one of the matchups where the Bestials were actually going to be good, even going second. Round 5, I lose the dice roll to Vanquish Soul. This one was Pankratops' fault. I blame this one on Pankratops. Okay, hear me out. I lose the dice roll, which was the pattern. I lose the dice roll, and game one was already infuriating. So they go first, Fenrir Durandal, search Raisin, and they have the full combo, like everything, you know, resolve Raisin, resolve Jiaolong, resolve Madlove, resolve Borger, set the trap, and they finish on 5 cards in hand, 2 sets, Madlove, Rock, Fenrir, whatever, 5 monsters, right? The set is, they have 2 sets, one of them is the trap card. The only good news for me is that I know all 5 cards in their hand, because they have to show me all of them, and I know there's no hand trap in hand, right? Their hand after turn 1, I knew they had 2 Raisins, they had another Fenrir, they had Borger in hand, and I knew I think Pantera. I knew all the cards in hand. That was the good news for me, right? So I draw and I start playing into the board, and it's going really well. In game 1, I resolve Fountain. Like they commit all of their resources to stop my first Fountain draw, because they go like, I have a Hugin on the board, and they go like Valius to pop the Fountain and Chain Madlove to bounce my Hugin and all that, right? And I let that all happen because I have another Fountain. And I just go Fountain, Gary, Chainlink 1 Fountain, Chainlink 2 Gary, and it works. So I get back the Fountain. I draw 3 with the Fountain, and so on. And I start playing into it, right? And then there's a point where they draw 1 card with Heavy Borger. They draw 1 card with Heavy Borger, and I have a winning line that includes, like, my winning line is basically I discarded Duality for Hugin earlier. And my line is, I make SP with the Gary to force the trap card. And I do that. Like I go SP, target the trap, they chain it, I chain SP, everything fine, right? Afterwards, I need to Duality my Gary back into the deck so I can go Fountain Gary again to draw 3 more. And the card that they top decked was Ash from the Borger. So they Ash my Duality, so I don't get the Gary back into my extra deck, which makes me unable to go Fountain Gary again. And like the plan was Fountain Gary, Druid's Worm, make Chaos Angel banish, Druid's Worm send. But the problem was I could still draw 3 with Fountain after the Ash. But the problem was because Hugin, I couldn't make anything. SP was gone. So I have no way of turning Hugin plus Bestial into anything, right? Hugin plus Druid's Worm doesn't do anything if SP is gone. So I couldn't do anything to the setup afterwards. So I lost game 1. Game 2 I win, even though they opened. It was Ash Bell. Ash Bell, Rhoda, and some other stuff, but I was able to win with I still ended on Baron and Fountain and a Runic in hand. They stopped me from drawing 3 with Fountain on my turn, but I had another Runic, so on their turn I drew 3 and all that, so it's fine. And then the third game, during siding before game 3, I look at my side deck and I'm between 2 cards, right? I'm between I know I'm siding in Nibiru against Vanquish Soul, because I actually think it's really good. Because there's 2 ways that the Vanquish Soul turn plays out. They either have everything and play into Nib, or they don't play into Nib. Their end board is probably not that scary. So I like Nib either way. Like if they make a mid end board not playing into Nib, it's completely fine to just go Hugin, discard the Nib, and that's fine. So I side in Nib, and I was thinking if I side in Droll, which is really good against the strong, like the really powerful Vanquish Soul openers that have like Jiaolong, Fenrir, Borger Draw, Madlove Search, all that, right? If you droll that, it's really powerful. Or I side in Pankratops plus Feather Duster instead of the Drolls, right? Because you can just Feather Duster covers for like Imperms and the trap card, and Pankratops I felt like was just like generally okay, you know, just like go battle phase, force something, pop some, I don't know. I liked Pankratops in theory as well. And then I like the Droll more in theory, but I saw Shifter in game 2 by banishing it with Runic, so I was a little bit scared of siding Droll and then just getting shifted. So I decided to take the Pankratops for a spin, you know, try out the Pankratops. And then game 2, their opener, I opened Pankratops, right? I opened Pankratops because I want to try it. You know, it's been 4 years since I've played Pankratops, and I was scared of getting shifted. So I opened Pankratops, and their hand would have died so hard to Droll and Lockbird. They had almost the same as game 1. It was like Fenrir Search, Stake Your Soul, Raisin Search, Jiaolong Search, Madlove Search. It was everything, man. And if I freaking had Droll instead of the Pankratops, I think I would have cooked them completely. And then as it stood, it was just like complete full combo, played into Nib as well. And I didn't have Nib, unfortunately. But yeah, I wasn't able to beat it. Like Pankratops, I had like Pankratops, Special Ecclesia, but one weird thing that I didn't think about beforehand, it was kind of an oversight, was the fact that I didn't even think about it, but Pankratops has freaking 0 defense. It has 0 defense. I didn't realize. It's terrible. Like Madlove just forces it, which did happen. That was annoying. I summoned Pankratops and then Madlove just forced it. I couldn't even attack over something and then pop. So it was kind of weird, champ. I don't know. But yeah, the full Vanquish Soul opener, if they have everything including Fenrir, is actually really hard to beat, I think. So maybe I should have just sided Droll, because honestly, if they have Shifter, I'm probably not winning anyways. So by that logic, maybe I should have just sided Droll. Anyways, I lost. It was fine. Round 6, I beat Fire King Tri Brigade, even though I lose the dice roll. That's fine. Game 3, I don't remember. I think I think that one I drolled in game 3. I'm pretty sure. Maybe. I remember exactly. Round 7, I beat Fire King 2-0. This one I remember. I go first. I win game 1. Game 2, I did droll them, and then they drolled me for 2 turns in a row, but I was still able to come out on top. Droll was a very popular card this weekend for both me and my opponents, is something I'm just now realizing. Like it was either, I think most matches, either I was playing under Droll constantly or my opponent was playing under Droll. It happened a lot. Like against this Fire King player, I drolled them, then they drolled me, so I couldn't kill them. Next turn they played, but I stopped them with Runics. The turn after, I got drolled again, so they played again. It was a huge back and forth. Even though it was a 2-0, it was a lot of back and forth, but yeah. And then round 8 was the only time in the entire day. Where's my round 8 post? Did I not put it under here? Anyways. Round 8 was the only time in the entire tournament that I lost a game going first. Because no matter how bad Runic decks are, in a format. Like no matter how hard some of the matchups are, the deck is always good going first. And this was the only time in the tournament where I lost the game going first, because I thought, okay, well, 2 more rounds, I can probably finish this thing x2. But round 8, I play against Fire King. I win game 1 relatively smooth. No, actually not. Game 1 was a game where I passed with just Hugin because I drew a lot of runics, but it was fine regardless. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember passing on Hugin but still winning the game. Game 2 I lose because their opener was really strong. The deck normally can play against the Fire King opener, but in this was a scenario where their opener was pretty good. They had a hand trap on top and my hand had like 3 normal summons, so that wasn't great. 3 normal summons with not Ecclesia. Like it was like Quem Bestial Aluber or Quem Golden Sword Soul. I don't know. I drew Golden Sword Soul like it was my job. It was annoying. But yeah, I lose game 2. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just be okay game 3. And game 3, I draw a hand that is, it looked very good in the beginning because my hand was Quem, a Runic, a Bestial, which unfortunately wasn't a good Bestial. It was like Baldrake, I think. So Quem, Runic, Bestial, Ash, Droll was my hand for game 3, going first. And I'm like, that's a pretty good hand. But there's a couple things that it doesn't have. It doesn't have another Runic to draw with Fountain, which was annoying. And it also doesn't have a great discard for the quick play spell. So I go normal summon Quem. I send Ecclesia. I go Runic to special summon Hugin. And I discard Ash because I figured I need the Bestial in case something happens to this Hugin or Quem. I need the Bestial in my hand. And between Ash and Droll, I thought Droll was the better hand trap, right? And so I discard Ash, and I go Chain Link 1 Hugin, Chain Link 2 Quem, and they crow my Ecclesia. So I get Fountain, but I don't have a second Runic. If I have a second Runic right there, the game is over. I just make a level 6 Synchro, activate Fountain, activate Runic to special Gary, draw 2 with Fountain, make a Baron. The game is over. I have Baron, Fountain, Droll, couple draws. It's curtains if I have a second Runic, but I don't. So I make the play I go for is I search Fountain, and I'm like, okay, I don't have a Runic yet. So I just go Coral Dragon with Quem plus Hugin, and I summon the Bestial, and I make Legacia, right, to draw 2 cards. I draw 1 with Coral Dragon, 1 with Legacia, and I'm like, if I draw a Runic here, it's still curtains, right? If I draw a Runic, I can summon the Runic, draw 2 with Fountain. The game, it's all good. I have like SP, Droll, infinite cards, no problem. I draw 2 cards, and it's another Quem, and it's a freaking Runic Fountain. And it was at that moment where I realized in my mind, when I was asking the Runic God for a Runic card, I forgot to specify I need a Runic quick play spell. So I'm sitting there, and my end board is literally, I have a Fountain on the board, I have a Fountain in hand, I have a Quem in hand, and I have Droll and Ash. You sided out too much engine for hand traps. I sided out no Runics. I sided out, going first, I sided out 1 Ecclesia, 1 Serenir, and 1, I think, Druis Worm. So it was nothing that mattered there. I don't side out Runics going first in this deck most of the time. So yeah, I drolled them and they didn't do anything pretty much. The next turn, by the way, I drolled them and they didn't do anything. And next turn, I draw the Bestial Aluber. So not a Runic again. If I had drawn a Runic on the next turn, I had another shot because the droll completely stopped them from playing. And I still whiffed on the next turn. So that was frustrating. But yeah, it happens. It's okay. It's all right. The deck overall was fun. I enjoyed the tournament run. I enjoyed the tournament. Most of the games were pretty good, except some of them. You know, not all the games can always be good, but it was okay. And I mainly learned that I don't think I don't think Runic Bestial in this current format, the way the decks play out right now, is the way to go. I don't think so. It's still playable. It's good. You know, you have a couple good matchups, but I really felt the absence of like quote unquote free matchups, right? Because it's really important throughout an event to not only have like very close matchups, right? Like you need a good matchup here and there, but Runic Bestial has a lot of matchups that you can win every matchup, but you can also lose every matchup, which makes it like most likely your result in like 9 rounds is not going to be 9-0 because someone is going to win the dice roll against you, or you might brick against someone in one of the games going first. That can absolutely happen, right? And I noticed a lot of matchups yesterday where like, okay, if I had lost this dice roll against Runic Furhire, I probably would have lost. If I didn't, and then I lost dice rolls where, yeah, okay, if I lose the dice roll to Blackwing, that's hard. If I lose the dice roll to Vanquish Soul with a Bestial deck, that's also hard. So, you know, I think the lack of the Unchained and tier decks is something I really noticed, but yeah. Also, why you guys still hear music, right? I can't hear the music anymore. Maybe my headphones died. Maybe okay, now you also don't have music. Okay, now it's back. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't expect to do well every single time. It was okay. I like the deck. It was fun, but I think it is time to move on. In 2024, it's time to move on in like a different direction with maybe Runic, maybe no Runic. I don't know. It's the year of the fire. We'll have to see. I need to fix this music. I could hear it for like 10 seconds just now. I'll just use my speakers. Okay. Okay. Speaking of other decks in the format, thank you, Mech Knight player, and because of your name, I do remember you. Yeah, you almost beat me in. Yeah, I remember that. What was it, like round 3 or 4, dude? That could have changed everything. Runic, that was the YCS I won with Runic Sprite. I almost lost to Mech Knights in like round 4. It was very close. But yeah, GG's, appreciate that. Frankfurt Regional. I will be at Frankfurt Regionals. I don't know what I'm gonna play yet. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though I am somewhat excited to be playing something else, I'm also very excited to have a freaking battle phase for once. Have you ever had this? Where have you ever freaking played a deck with a specific restriction for so long that you feel like everyone else, like it's kind of broken that they don't have that restriction? Like I've been playing Runic decks for over a year now, almost, not exclusively, but a lot of them, right? And whenever my opponent like does a combo and then says battle phase, I'm like, dude, how broken is that? How broken is it that they can just attack me now? You know? I'm like, dude, why do you... You know what I mean? Do you feel that? This is like how... I feel like this is how a branded player would feel who's been playing branded since like 2 years or some shit like that. And then they play a different deck and they were like, what do you mean I can like just link into an SP now? After doing my other combo, like after I do like, I don't know, they play like a synchro deck and they're like doing their combos and that. What do you mean I can like make SP now? What are you saying? It's I don't know. I'm kind of excited to experience the rush of just attacking my opponent again. It's been a while. Oh man. Yeah, you play Monarchs and you're like, what is this pile of cards next to my left hand right here? What are these 15 cards? What do they mean? What are they trying to tell me? Oh man. Okay. I don't know what I'm gonna play at. I don't know if I'm what I'm gonna play at Frankfurt Regionals yet. Well, by the way, for the people asking why I didn't play the yeah, you could have just come up, but how you feel? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I didn't play the runic, the snake eye runic for that we tried to cook with for a couple, like an hour or two on the last stream, for two main reasons. The first reason was I didn't feel like we were done cooking yet. It didn't feel like a finished thing. And it doesn't need to be completely finished for a regional for me to play it, but it didn't even feel like, it didn't feel ready yet for like a 600 person regional. That was the one reason. The other reason was, and it's kind of like a pseudo reason only, but I was kind of frustrated whenever I'm playing a Snake Eye deck in the current format. It's kind of frustrating to me knowing how broken it's going to be in a month. Seeing these comparatively now, you know, the deck can still be completely fine now, but it just, for me, I just hate seeing like how it would be comparing the deck that I'm playing now to what it's going to be in a month. It's just frustrating to me. You know, you get what I'm saying? I don't know if I explained it properly, but I'm sitting here labbing Snake Eye combos, and I'm like, dude, it doesn't get where I want it to be because I know what it's capable of in just like 4 weeks. And I'm like, damn, I want it to be better than this, right? Like, what if I could just search Populous here? All my problems would be solved, right? So I kind of gave up because it was a frustrating process of cooking Snake Eye combos before Populous. But I mean, by all means, do if you want, if you feel like there's potential there. Ellie the Mutt, thank you for the 15 months, and Abs Yoshi TV, thank you for the 10 months. Appreciate you guys. Welcome back. Okay. Let us see what other people have come up with and had way more success this weekend than I did in this current format, because even though the format isn't going to be very long, I still think it's a very interesting thing to look at. And we'll just go chronologically. Chronologically, the first thing that happened was a big tournament in Germany on the Saturday, which was in Berlin. It's called the Turnier der Heiligen Drei Könige, which is the German. It's a German name. And yeah, I kind of forgot this happened. I will admit I felt kind of bad when I realized this happened because they asked me to help them promote it and I forgot about it. I forgot to respond. I'm sorry. I saw the message and then I ghosted them. It was not intentionally. I forgot. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Anyways, if I had remembered to talk to them, I would have probably told you guys about this tournament beforehand, but I did forget. My bad. But yeah, the deck was, the tournament was very, very, very diverse, which is honestly very hype for a first tournament of the new format. This was the top 16 breakdown out of almost 300 players, even 282 players have assembled, and it was 2 tier, 2 Centurion, 1 Fire King, 1 Labyrinth, 1 Kashtira, 1 Vanadium, 1 Bestial Runic based, 1 Chimera Branded, 1 Pearly, 1 Drytron, 1 Branded, 1 Rika, 1 Trickstar, and 1 Unchained in top 16, which is 14 different decks. Well, yeah, Branded and Chimera Branded, they're different decks. It's 14 different decks. God damn. Yeah. This was the breakdown, I think. Shoutouts to Lampy, by the way, who somehow managed to commentate and host a tournament on Saturday in Berlin, and then also commentated the German Open on Sunday, which is like 5 hours or 6 hours apart from each other. I wouldn't have done that, but shout out. You know, I was watching the stream on Saturday. It was pretty hype. This was the overall breakdown, which I honestly didn't expect Fire Kings to be this popular, but I gotta say it was the same on Sunday. It was the same at the German Open on Sunday, because Fire King was everywhere. I look left, Fire King, right, Fire King mirror match, fire everywhere. It might be a matter of people are just getting ready for the next set. They're like, okay, well, I can just buy the Fire King cards now. They're going to be good in a month. I can buy the Diabellstar cards now. They're going to be good in a month still. I don't have to worry about it, right? Maybe that's the case, right? One of my opponents who played Fire King, I think the one that beat me in round 8, afterwards, he told me like, hey, I'm playing Fire King because I was playing Infernoble with Sinful Spoils and my Isold got banned, and I was sitting here and I was like, well, I didn't buy these Wanteds for nothing, so I'm just gonna play a Fire deck. But yeah, whatever reasons people have for playing Fire King, it's very, very popular. I don't actually think it's the best deck, which you can also tell from the conversion rate here. Like, out of 12% Fire Kings in the entire competition, only one person made top 16. I don't think the deck is that good. The deck isn't bad either. It's fine. It's completely fine. But yeah, other decks had better conversion rates for sure. But yeah, it's honestly, I think if we played this format for a long time, we would probably figure out some decks that are better than others. I'm convinced by that. I think there are decks here that if we played this longer and longer and longer, we would probably find out 2, 3, 4 decks that would shine above the rest. But we're not going to. Which is sometimes a reality you have to come to terms with. Some formats end up remaining like unsolved, and I think this is one of them. This is a 3-week format. It's a 3-week format. It's still interesting to look at what's going to happen, right? Or what does happen, what decks can perform. But it's probably never going to be solved, right? But yeah. For the... Just so we don't have only... just so we don't have like dry data-driven deck profile content today, we're also gonna watch some of the stuff from the like recap the finals of Italian Open and German Open. Just the finals, nothing else. I just want to have a quick look at the finals for both of these events. I actually don't know what won the Italian Open, and I also don't know how big the Italian Open was. So if anyone knows how many players attended the Italian Open, feel free to let me know. But I want to check out the finals. And don't spoil who won, because I actually don't know. Okay, now you've spoiled it. Okay, well, phenomenal. Right after watching that finals, which honestly, I'm going to be honest, I did not realize that the freaking Millers were missing from this match. I will say one thing. All the games were very heavily carried by the Horus package. Like, you know, friggin' Imseti was there a lot, and King Sarcophagus was there a lot. And if those were not there, I don't know how much, you know, we can do without the Horus cards. And I would be careful with putting all your hopes into the Tearlament deck when it's really carried by the Horus cards, which are only, I mean, we've seen 2 Sarcophagus, so it's at least 5 cards in the list. Maybe it's 6, I don't know, probably maybe 6. I could see 6 with like the Shayama and all that. You have a lot of good discards for Sarcophagus, so maybe you play all 6 copies of it. But it's the more hits tier gets on the ban list, the more I feel like Gamba it becomes. But I don't think this is something that throws Tearlament players off. I think I would even go as far as to say that's what they want. They want the deck to be even more Gamba than before. They're like, sure, take away take away another tier name. I don't care. I'm gonna mill it anyways. I don't care, dude. I like it. I want to gamble. I am addicted. So yeah, okay. Anyways. Let's look at the German Open winner deck profile. And we have Felix in chat, so if we have any specific questions, we might even be able to ask them and get them answered immediately.
Hello, here we are with another deck profile.
Here you can also see the venue, which is like, you know, this was a friggin' wedding tournament.
And actually, we just had to update this deck profile because not only did this man, Mr. Drizzles himself, make top 8 yesterday at the HDK, but also Show us what you got today, my man. Look at that. He actually won the German Open 512 players. So we already recorded the deck profile yesterday, right? At the HDK where you made top 8. And there's actually just one card difference.
The solace there, dude, of not having slept in 48 hours. Look at him. He's so happy.
He told me, right? In the deck?
We're so happy.
It's pretty much the same. I only changed one card in the extra deck. I removed the Time Thief Reader and I played Typhon today. And funny enough, I didn't use Typhon all tournament. I missed the Reader though a couple times, so maybe I'm gonna change it back. But otherwise, the list was perfect. I'm really happy with that, so that's like the only change.
All right, congratulations, my man, to making first place here at the German Open. So this is now not only a profile for the HDK, but also for the winner of the German Open. Let's go.
What is going on, guys? We're here from Lumpy's channel, and today we have a deck profile from Felix. He finished top 8 in the
I see. They just recorded a new intro for the deck profile from the day prior. Because Felix also topped this tournament. This one.
HDK event. And yeah, you played tier elements.
That's German efficiency, dude.
Yes, I played tier. I lost in top 8 sadly against a good friend, against Kashtira out of all decks, but tier performed very well. I got 4th place after Swiss, finishing 7-1. The only loss was to Unchained against 2 really incredible
It's a bit far and you can't see anything.
But yeah, I'm quite happy with the list.
Okay. So we're gonna make do.
With the monsters, played like usual tier cards, the names.
Dude, it's like, here's my tier limit deck. And then they show you like 3 tier limit names. And it's like, okay, less than 10% of my deck is tier limit names now.
Triple Rhino Heart, triple tier card, like all those cards are mandatory. And I played 1 Geldo and 1 Fedora without Agedo Kelbeck there, a lot worse.
I know, I'm joking. There's a lot of other tier cards.
They're still really good, especially against like Fire King and Labyrinth, and you still can trigger your own effects with like the field spell and all that stuff, but in a lot of matchups you can also side them out going second or so. Then I played the King of the Swamp engine with Polylator. I think it's mandatory now
this
to
one?
make the Full Colors Fusion and to have
I mean, yeah.
to make Kaleido Heart.
Rule Close is really good.
And I also played the Horus engine for extra gas going first to get your combo going, to make Zombie Vampire and to mill enough cards. And the cards I was debating to play or not was Fenrir now. I decided to main deck Fenrir and not side them because just like it's a decent starter. You can add a tier cache.
I like Fenrir in this deck because it adds tier cache. I think that's really good utility for the card. But the one thing I'm not sure about is if I like combining Fenrir with Impulse. But I suppose if you resolve Impulse, you're probably okay with having a dead Fenrir in hand because draw 2, discard 1 is so powerful. But then you can't really discard the Fenrir for the... Oh, it's in the side deck anyways. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. Okay. I thought it was main, but okay.
I started out going second. And the last
that makes sense.
2 Malicious for Beatrice and 1 Shyama for like the same reason. It's a bit worse to draw, but it's still fine. And yeah, it worked pretty well today.
Basically, this is the deck that unites all the tier players in the universe, if you think about it. Because previously to this last ban list, there was a lot of opinions on, hey, you should play these cards in tier, you should play these cards in tier. You know, am I playing this engine or this engine? Now, you just play all of them. You just put all that shit in there, and it's gonna work out somehow. Like, you know, do I play Horus? Do I play Shyama? Do I play Malicious? Do I play King of the Swamp? Now, yes. The answer is yes.
Spells, field spells, triple scream, 1 heartbeat. I think heartbeat is really good because I play a lot of traps, so you just want to have good mills, and you don't mill as much anymore with like Agedo Kelbeck, so you want
the only thing that's missing is dangers.
Maximize your good mills. And then
True.
Cards for the Horus engine.
2 sarcophagus, okay.
1 is not enough. If you mill them, then your whole engine is dead, so I think 2 is fine. And then 3 1-offs, 1 Poly for King of the Swamp, and for Guardian Chimera going second, 1 Foolish, and 1 Foolish Warrior Books. For the trips, I played Triple Solic and Meta Noise.
Again, 3 Solic.
Reason I want to have like as many good mills as possible, and Trivikama.
I mean, yeah.
Like
so it's like it's what's the what word am I looking for? It's interesting, but at the same time, there is not really anything new here. It's genuinely just the same deck as before, but you cramp all the engines in it, or almost all the engines in it, and you're just like, it's gonna work out. It's gonna be fine. I will draw this half of my deck, and I will mill this half of my deck, and I will not do it the other way around, because I don't want to think about what happens if it happens the other way around, you know?
And of Agido Quebec, you only played True Solic, but now...
Like, was there ever a game where you drew like too many traps?
I think you never, like, of course if you draw like 3 or 4, it's not good, but if you draw 1 or 2 Solic, it's fine, because you can always discard one for like a Rhino Heart or for Heartbeat, and then if you have them like going second, it's even fine. Side deck next, I sided 3 Super Poly. I was manning that card before, but I think it's not good enough going first anymore, because after the Agido Quebec fit, you don't have that much engine anymore, and you need like all your cards to play, and you can't really extend the combo with Super Poly, but going second against a lot of matchups it's still fine. Then 3 Draw and 3 Nibiru.
That's every side deck in the meta at the moment.
As we saw in the feature match in top 8, Nibiru was good against Kashtira, and like sometimes I side out the heroes or the Horus engine going second, so you have some space for some cantrips. And the last cantrip I played was Triple Rescue Ace Impulse and Fire Attacker. That's maybe not that usual, but Impulse was really good. If you open that, you can draw into your other hand traps or going second cards, you can draw into engine, you can discard tier cards.
This is like Tierlement's version of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. Thoughts?
Trigger their effects. So if you resolve Impulse, you're usually really, really good. But of course, that's the brick you don't want to draw. And then the last card, the Counter Trap, the Crime for going first, and the Scatter Shot. I think I only used it like once today, so it was not that important.
It's funny how everyone plays, or like most people play something for time in their side decks, right? But everyone and their mom feels inclined to note how like it didn't come up that much. You know, I'm the same way. Like everyone always puts these down, and it's always like everyone is like, you know, friggin' side eye, you know, and you're like, it didn't really happen that much every time.
And for the extra deck real quick,
like, can we just accept the fact that that's a thing?
Of the Swamp fusions, the Grappa fusion, but I cut that before
the Triff incident. Yeah, that has the canon. It's literally been the canon event of deck profiles. Is when the Triff Gagaga Cowboy thing happened, and everyone ever since is like, yeah, I'm just playing this for fun. You know, I'm not actually using it.
Obviously, Guardian Chimera for Poly. This was really good. Every time I can resolve Poly into Guardian Chimera going second, that's usually a game.
I think we should go back to the period of time where everyone just made up some random ass reasons for playing those cards, like saying like, oh, Red Resonator is my favorite tuner monster, or, you know, I was lacking a fire monster in my deck. My deck didn't have enough fire monsters, so I put in volcanic scatter shots. You know, I feel like pyros are incredibly underrepresented at the moment, so I decided to add scatter shot into my deck. Something like that, you know.
Dangerous for the malicious engine to make Beatrice faster. It was really good today. And your 3 super poly targets. The card you make the most is by far Mud Dragon, just to make Bahamut Shark and Pouch.
For siding patterns.
Vampire to go with the Horus engine, so usually if you open in Zeti you can make this one, then you mill tier cards and maybe a Fenrir, special the Fenrir, get the advantage going.
I play Scarlet because it's good removal. Okay, it is good removal though. I unironically summon Scarlet more often in regular than in time. Like it's actually good removal without a battle phase.
Then Beatrice for the
heroes.
It is!
Bahamut and Toad, part of your end board. You always want to
I don't
like,
in Dragon Link. Okay, yeah, it's different when you can just go Boral End and attack all of your opponent's monsters, I suppose. I don't have a battle phase, you see? Kind of broken that you get to attack.
The card I played instead of the Grapha, but I never summoned it for a tournament. The last cards are just SP, Dark, and Sprint. They're all good. I think they're all mandatory. You can consider cutting Dark, but it won me a lot of games today, so I'm pretty happy with Extra except for the main card.
Okay. Well, there's basically no questions left because you did like great on explaining. But is it like?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's an interesting list for sure. I would say at first glance, I don't know if I would change anything with the amount of. I feel like with the amount of work that the Horus cards did and with the amount of good discards you have, I would honestly even consider a third Sarcophagus. Because I think the way it goes, right? The way it goes, it's like you obviously you prefer drawing Imseti, right? Drawing Imseti is insane, right? But if you don't have Imseti, you would rather have Sarcophagus than not having the Horus cards at all. And if you already have Imseti, you're still not mad about having the Sarcophagus, no? Because you can just discard it for Imseti, which is fine. But if you want to play around Ash, you could discard a different card in your hand, and then if they Ash the Imseti, you still have Sarcophagus to bring at least the Imseti back. So I don't think you're too worried about drawing the King Sarcophagus too often, right? Well, yeah. You've seen Pack's Rescue Fire King decklist. There's a couple more things I want to see today. First thing, I don't care in which order we do it. So you guys can decide. You guys can decide what we do next. I'll give you 3 options. We have, first things first, we have the finals of the Italian Open, which is Furhire Runic Sprite against Rescue Ace from yesterday. We have the Pack Regional Goo Rescue Ace Fire King Hybrid deck profile. Or we have the new Garrett Shire Dinka Bui, the greatest upset in Yu-Gi-Oh history video. All of these 3 things are going to happen today. But I don't mind what we start with. The pack list is insane. Okay, let's start with the pack list then. Let's start with the pack list. Let's start with the pack list and then let's do the gameplay last. Let's do the Italian final last. Sounds good.
Yo, what's up guys? So I flew to Utah.
I hope this deck doesn't have Vakaushi. For the love of God, Pack.
To come hang out with Joey, and I was playing a deck, that I literally conjured up on the way here as a joke.
Hold up. How many quarter centuries? We need to make a prediction. And if you already watched it, do not take part. That's cheating. How many QCRs in Pack's deck? Only QCRs? No, QCRs and Starlights. Starlights also count. 0 Keg W. 1 to 5. 6 to 10. How many options can I put? 11 to 15. 16 plus. No, that's too low. We need more options. Hold up. We need more options. We go 6 to 15, 16 to 20, 21 plus. Is this fine? Hold up. No, 1, 2, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. This is good. This is good. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is perfect. This is perfect. The prediction is running. The prediction is running. How many quarter centuries Starlights are in Pack's deck? 0, 1 to 8, 9 to 15, 16 to 20, or 21 plus? Thank you for the 8 months, Yannick. I'm down. I am absolutely down. I will say there's gonna be a point in the near future where, because all this discussion about these about like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content and all that really got me thinking. Like the discussions we had in the last week or so. There's gonna be a time, like, because I've noticed I have a lot of plans that in terms of content creation and stuff that I want to do on stream, stuff that I want to do on YouTube. I have a lot of plans in the back of my head that are kind of like, you know, they're kind of dwelling there. But I never actually get to do it because, you know, day-to-day stuff, all day, everyday life just gets in the way, right? I don't have the time to sit down and script videos or plan out certain things and do bigger projects. There's gonna be like in the next 1 or 2 weeks, I'm probably gonna take a couple days off to get some of that stuff sorted out. To get and in the long term, you know, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be good for the content. You guys are gonna be sad on that day where I'm not streaming, right? But at some point, I'll be doing I'll be doing a little break. Not because I want to go on vacation or I need time off or anything like that, but because I want to spend some time actually, like I want to spend some time working on the stream and the content, time that I usually don't have after, like when I stream normally. But yeah, anyways, just as a heads up, I'm gonna let you know, I'm gonna let you guys know when that happens, but it's gonna happen at some point in the next couple weeks. Okay. Let's hear it from the man himself. Is this better? Or this is better.
And I ended up winning. So I played Rescue Ace Fire King. Fire. Yeah, which is, you know, the year of the fire, so had to get a head start. And yeah, I thought overall the deck was pretty good. I'll explain the theory as we get to the deck profile, but before we...
Why does this box say stretch tight?
Jump into the rest of the video, don't forget to go to tx1.com and use pack 10% off the Supreme Pros. I sleeved my entire deck in them, and they felt great. I gave a couple out during the event, a couple friends as well, and they all really liked it. So
fire sleeves for the fire deck.
Exactly. Also, shout out to Joe for letting me crash at his place. Shout out to Cam, Johnny. Shout out to Shrek. Shout out to, you know, the SLC
Johnny
Goons.
Taylor.
Yeah, Johnny.
Shout out to Shrek.
Taylor. You guys all know, you know what I'm saying? Ben. Omar. Shout out to all of you guys. You guys are awesome. It was really cool hanging out with all you guys. And then, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let's jump right into the deck profile. So, for the rescue engine, you have Lifter, 2 Hydrants. I wish I could play 3, but...
Bro, the Flamberge mat from the Japanese YCS is, whew.
Couldn't find 3rd CR. You know the vibes, so I played 2.
I actually don't know those vibes that he's talking about. The vibes he's referring to, I do not know them.
Super better standard so far. I played 1 Fire Engine and then 3 Impulse. This card was actually like cracked. Having this in my deck to like use emergency to summon this was really, really good because like it turns emergency into 2
there's an important question right now in chat that I do need to figure out. Don't you think Hack looks like Oshawott? Hold up. Oshawott. No. No, he doesn't. He does? No way. Hold up. Where? A little bit? Well, yeah, he's got 2 eyes and a nose and a mouth. He got 2 hands. There's some similarities. But that's about it. I don't see it. Nah, you guys are trolling. You guys are being mean.
Emergency to 2 monsters without committing your normal summon, which is like insane.
Which one is back?
So I really like this card.
Stop.
Let me See, and then for the Fire King engine, I played 1 Grunix. You don't really want to open it, but if you do, it's like fine. You can push off Witch. And then I played 3 Kirin, which is like the best card of the deck from the Fire King perspective, because it ensures that like all of your Fire King monsters like always resolve their effects. It was like really nice because I would like purposely summon Turbulence without SP, and then I actually defect it and don't impermanent, I'll chain Kirin, and then they're like, yo, what is going on?
That is messed up. If my opponent goes Turbulence and I impermit and they chain Kirin in hand, nah, that's foul.
Like one of my opponents specifically said, they're like, I was prepared for Fire Kings, and I was prepared for Rescuers, but definitely not both of them. And then I played 1 Barong because...
Chad, you think they said that? You think they really said that, or is it made up? I'm not sure. I think it's like 50-50. There's a 50% chance that statement was made the fuck up.
1 Brawling and then 1 Ponic. So let me explain the ratio really quick. The reason why I played these 6 cards was because if I get access to Island or I bridge the Fire King engine with the Rescue engine through Sinful package, I can summon the Ponics. Ponics will then get the Island and then or Sanctuary into Island, and then that will destroy a fire monster, the Ponics usually. That will get access to Grunix. Grunix will then pop the Barong from the deck, and then Barong will search a Kirin in the standby phase, which makes it so that I have a pop on my opponent's Kirin. So, like, there was one game I played against, like, Pure Cash, who, like, Raigeki Dark Hold me, and I saw, like, 5 interrupts after because of Kirin as well.
So, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right? I've kind of been noticing that I honestly am not sure about the synergy between Fire King and Rescue Ace. I feel like it's kind of non-existent in a lot of ways, except like Kirin letting you dodge Imperm is okay, I suppose, right? But I think in general, the Fire King deck on its own, like, it makes a relatively mediocre end board, and we've talked about that a little bit in the past when we've tested the deck at first as like a pure variant. And it feels like it's kind of mediocre, but it's very, very good at, in general, like extending plays, you know, protecting your stuff from Imperm. It's a very, very good secondary engine, I feel like, right? And that's basically what happens. I feel like when everyone in the OCG right now is naming the deck Fire King, right? I don't think they're doing it justice. I think it's more like Fire King being the best secondary engine for the Snake Eye good stuff fire deck, because Fire King do a lot of things for it. They give them a little bit more oomph to the end board because Garunix Engrave setup, you know, you get a pop on the opponent's turn, you can make the rank 8 to blow up their monsters. It's just more layers of interruption, but most importantly, it's also a lot of guaranteed follow-up. It's a way to dodge Imperm with the Kirin. It's a way to play the game without your normal summon, right? Like when your actual normal summon in the Snake Eye deck gets stopped, you can just have Island or the Snake Eye continuous spell, and you not Snake Eye, the Fire King continuous spell, and you can just keep playing, right? It gives you a lot more layers of extension, follow-up, a little bit more interruption on the opponent's turn. It's everything you want from a secondary from the secondary engine in your deck, right? And even in Rescue Ace, apparently it's working. Like, you know, that's what I've been thinking. Like when I was playing against like the Tri-Brigade Fire King deck, when I'm seeing the Snake Eye Fire King decks, it's like I'm always thinking like, damn, Fire Kings is such a good complementary engine. It integrates so flawlessly into those decks, right? Because it just has so much natural synergy. It's so easy to synergize with Fire King as long as your deck's freaking fire.
Like, it was just, like, super layered. Like, I have back row interruption, Garunix in, like, the graveyard, you know, like, the on-field disruptions, like, and hand disruptions. So it just, like, makes your deck super more layered. And going second, having this is really nice because you're usually going to get...
Layers really is the right word. Layers is the right word as to, if you had to describe why Fire King is good with one word, it's layers. The deck has a lot of layers when it comes to playing on your own turn, right? Because you're not, like, normal summon if it gets stopped, you know. That's what people mean when you say layers. It's like, you know, you have multiple ways of playing the game. You have ways to follow through on a certain disruption on that, right? And that's the thing. Fire King on its own doesn't really... It has a lot of redundancies, right? Like, for example, if you draw the Garunix, and you still have Fire King Island, you don't even have a great search target for the Fire King Island, because there's nothing you really need once you have the island with a fire monster. You don't need to search anything else. You don't need to, you know, you have everything already. You don't have Fire King on its own is not really good to go above and beyond, right?
Access to Hydrant because you play like Impulse and like you have like a bunch of ways to get there with like Emergency and all that good stuff. So you turn Original into like another way to like break your opponent's board, especially if you get access to Ponix going second. Like I remember like I darked one of my opponent's witches because I didn't draw it, and then I used their wish to set an Original, and then use Original to get access to Ponix, which converts into 2 bodies because you get to summon Grunix when you trigger Island, and then Island pops Kieran from the deck, which gets you another Ponix back. So it allows you to convert like the Black Witch into like 2 monsters, which comes up.
I for one am kind of excited to see to be going into this kind of fire metagame. I know some people are. I mean, I'm sure some people are not looking forward to it. I think the biggest reason why people are not looking forward to it is probably the wanted price tag, which I 100% understand. But from a pure gameplay perspective, I'm really looking forward to this kind of like, because I don't remember if we've ever had this kind of thing where like all of the, or like a lot of the top tier decks are using the same sort of engines, but they're all pairing it with different stuff. And so some parts of the decks are the same, other parts are different. And then you have to figure out, okay, which of these Fire King or which of these Snake Eye decks is going to be the best against the others, and how do they interact with each other? It sounds very exciting. I suppose Zodiac was a little bit like this, but Zodiac was always the main engine, right? It's kind of like Zodiac, yeah, a little bit, but Zodiac didn't have that many variations, I feel like. Zodiac was really like, in the beginning, it was just Zodiac, and then it was like, okay, Draco Zoo. That was like arguably really the only thing, right? Adventure Engine, I think it goes past that. Adventure Engine was just the same 9 cards in every deck. I think it's different for Fire format. Fire format is way more like, you know, I wouldn't compare it to the because that was just one piece of engine in the same deck. I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same.
Because from there I made access code clear the whole board and, you know, OTK'd them. But for hand traps, I only played 3 Ash.
Wait, where's the rest of the non-engine?
and then 3 Burn. Not really that many non-engine.
Okay, did we count quarter centuries? There was no quarter centuries yet, right? All of these don't come in quarter century. This was the first 6.
Just
6.
Played engine and just try to break my opponent's board with just powerful cards. You know, just the theory of strong engine. Definitely just came up with that. 3 Black Witch,
9,
3 wanted, and then
12,
1 original.
Are they all? I think so. 12, 13.
So much to say about it. Like, I think these cards are like basically just like chaos bases, and I would play more of them if I could. They're just like.
By the way, I do want to play. I do think I want to play a fire deck for the regionals next weekend. I'm not sure exactly which one I want to play, because I don't want to play a boring one that everyone's playing. So I've been thinking about which one I will, because I kind of want to get used to this whole Diabellstar Wanted. I actually haven't played a deck with that yet, so I kind of want to look into it. I don't know what I'm gonna play yet, I suppose. So I normally tell you not to do this, but if anyone has an interesting idea of what kind of Wanted deck I could play, you can shoot me a Discord DM. I normally tell you not to do this because people send me like 3 decks a day and be like, hey, can you look at my deck list? And I just, like, from simple times, because of time reasons, I simply can't. But this time, if you have a cool idea that you think is like worth testing out, I'm willing to look at it.
Best. I really like
Volcanics.
That. I
might look into Volcanics.
I wanted to, like I said, make my deck really consistent, but also make it so that I can bridge the gap between the Rescue Engine and the Fire King Engine. Yeah, so there's that. Then I played also 3...
Okay, I will send you Wanted Kuribo Turbo. See, I shouldn't have asked.
Prosperity, so basically every good card, 1 Rhoda. All the broken cards.
Is this a quarter century? Where does this come in quarter century? How does Pack have cards that no one else has in quarter century? Is this in rarity collection? Oh, it is in rarity collection, right? Okay, 17.
3. All the 1-ofs are utility. 2-ofs are like for, you know, just for, I guess, resources. 3 emergency, they're
common,
not super because I give them way out at locals. So I'm gonna have to go back to my locals and tax my boys, get them back. 1 alert, 1 rescue, standard. Yeah, 1 island, 1 sanctuary. I only played 1 in 1 of these, like I said, because I played so many witches, so many wanted. I didn't feel like I needed more of these because those witches and wanted basically convert into these. So I feel like just 1 in 1 were fine. I played against a lab matchup where I actually won just because I opened Fire King cards. Like the Fire King cards just broke the entire lab board. So I like the fact that the rescue deck has a really hard time to lab, but adding the Fire King cards actually helps the lab matchup a lot, which I think.
Have you guys ever seen that? It's been something that I was thinking about. Has anyone seen someone play a freaking Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys to in the side deck to completely destroy back row decks? I think that'd be so funny. Because you could do that, right? You could just destroy it from the deck with Garunix, and then next standby phase, it just comes back and blows up all their stupid floodgates. It'd be so funny as a one-off. If you ever do play against some random stun deck.
It's really important. Because cured non-targeting effects just makes your opponent.
But I guess, okay, yeah, what I will say is someone in chat is mentioning it right now. Nobody is on floodgates. It is true. I have not seen a single stun deck at the regional yesterday, which is obviously a phenomenal thing. It's a very good thing, you know?
It's crazy. 1 HQ, don't really need it, but I always side this right out too. But I don't know, the game ends in the turn 3, to be honest, almost every time, and then 2 traps. And then that's it. 44 cards in the main, 6 non-engine. Don't ask me how I did it. Extra deck, Typhon.
What are we
broken.
at? 17. This is number 18. We're hitting 21 plus easy. I put it too low.
I summoned it under Silent Wolf a lot, which comes up.
I actually have this. I have this one too now. I can proudly say I'm the owner of a quarter century Typhon. Not to brag or anything, but I acquired it by opening my entry packs yesterday at the regional. So you know, kind of.
I thought it was really, really nice, because then it lets, because sometimes you don't have a way to summon under Sunlight Wolf. There's no you can't make a Karibo with a level 8 or anything along those lines. So I would make Sunlight, summon this under Sunlight Wolf, and add a Kieran back, and then have a couple interruptions. So yeah.
Have you already got Starlight Quests? I'm not really interested in high rarity versions of cards that are gonna be I have a couple high rare cards, but it's only staples. Because I don't like spending a lot of money on cards that are only going to be playable for I don't know, half a year, or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know. And I also want the other thing is I don't even like main deck Starlights or main deck Quarter Centuries. I actually don't like those cards. I don't think they look better than I don't think they look better than the I like regular. I unironically like regular Secret Rare Diabellstar and Wanted more than the QCRs. But I don't feel even the slightest percent of my body wanting to pick up those cards because I just like the Secret Rares more, unironically.
Fun.
There's too much going on.
We have access code in Appaloosa.
If I have that card in my hand, I don't know.
Yeah, these are just really, really good cards.
Okay, Starlight Apo 19.
Outing your opponent. This outs your opponent's stuff going second, and this is I usually make this card going second a lot. And a lot of people don't expect that for some reason. Celine, because you played the Witch.
20.
So it helps you climb the Link Force for free.
21.
Going second, I use
we're 5 cards into the extra deck, and the thing is already over. I should have put it higher.
To make Appaloosa, to make sure that I resolve all my stuff.
Is Access Starlight?
Oh yeah, probably
2, yeah. 22.
I usually go for Sunlight into Heat Soul into Appaloosa. So I get 1 free draw. Unicorn, because I just wanted...
Wait, is this just Secret Rare? You have got to be kidding me.
I expected a lot of Fire Kings today, and Unicorn is a non-targeting or non-destruction removal, so that's it.
Oh, it's
Dark and Hita, because
saved
of Witches.
2 more, 24.
Hita for the mirror match, which is really good. Double SP Knight, I did summon both these.
26.
IP.
27.
That's like the standard inboard I go for. Like the other inboard I go for is like sometimes I go for Sonic Wolf with IP underneath it with like a bunch of.
Was
waves.
expecting
like,
Starlight Charmers. They are Starlight.
With like access to Kieran, Silent Wolf adding back your resources. Nightmare Phoenix came up for me where I went like summon Phoenix. My opponent goes Imperm with the other card because they want to take the background chain Kieran. That was like,
I like how we are not even really paying attention to the deck because I mean, the way he's presenting it is like he's not being serious about it, right? He's playing Rescue Ace Fire King, and he's laughing at his own deck profile. Everyone is just counting the Starlights and the quarter centuries.
Crazy. and then one Karibo, one Anima. I had like 2 people playing the Anima. Didn't expect that to ever happen, but Yu-Gi-Oh happens, so it is what it is. Side deck, I played a bunch of basically because I didn't really have a lot of hand traps in the main deck. I want to just play more board breakers, so I decided like 2 Storm and evenly for basically every rogue.
Oh, that's 5 more. Now we're over 30. I lost count. Are we at 32 or 33?
Deck, and then in the rescue mirror, like
so Pack's deck is like 3 to 4k. I'm pretty sure this is way more than 3 to 4k. Unironically, I didn't calculate it, but I don't think 3 to 4k does justice to this shit. This is more than that. The freaking SPs alone are, I think, a grand together. Like I think 2 SPs is already like 1,000 almost, right? And then Apo is also 1,000, I think, alone. IP is like 500 or some shit like that. I don't know exactly. It's like those 5 cards or 4 cards are already like 3k or some shit like that. The Charmers, this deck is easy 10, I think.
These cards are like basically blowouts, so like theirs looks really, really good. I signed one Kurikara because you can like search it with original. So I like the fact that I have one in the side deck just in case I play against a Pearly Duelist, and you know maybe I don't draw my impulses or I don't get access to impulses. So having the one Kurikara to search off the original.
And it looks like he has them single sleeved. Yeah, that's beyond madness to me.
Get me there. I didn't play against any Pearly, but I definitely did respect that deck. 3 Nibiru. For basically whenever I went first, I would side Nibbin as like a backup plan in case things go wrong.
I think at this point he just does it for the memes as well. I think he just plays everything in quarter century that's available in quarter century. Because there's no way he thinks Nib looks better than the ultis he used to own, right? He used to have Nibs. I remember Pack was the guy we made fun of, or like not made fun of, but who's had like ultis in everything, right? And he's swapped all of those ultis for quarter cent. There's no way he thinks they look better, right? No shot.
About the impermanences, because like sometimes your back row, like you literally like you don't have enough cards like set. Like I can't even set like the impermanences sometimes, because Sanctuary like clogs up the 5th zone. So I would take out the impermanence and put Nib in.
They look good. I mean, yeah, they look good, but they're not. I don't think they're better than the ultis.
If Nib was like a half board, it's like almost impossible for your opponent to like ever win. 3 Bell for Labyrinth, because no big welcome for you. And then 3 Droplets. So this was like super last minute, but I wanted to play it because I realized that I summoned like with impulses, you summon on your opponent's turn a lot. So like the fact that you can like start with like a lot of card advantage off impulse and then drop your opponent I thought would be really nice. The main reason.
Okay, I lost count on the quarter centuries. With the side deck was almost exclusively quarter centuries, except for the Kurikara. So that's 14 more. Yeah, it's over 40. It was over 40 quarter century rares. My freaking highest prediction thingy was half of the actual answer. That's crazy. I'll have to keep that in mind. I'll have to keep that in mind for future pack deck profiles. Remind me of that. Remember, like we need to remember this for the next freaking. We have to start the prediction. Like the lowest needs to be like 20 plus, and then we have to just predict. I think it would be more funny if it was the exact, like you have to predict, is it 40 or is it 41 or is it 42? Oh god. Okay, well. As far as the deck list goes, I'm pretty sure this is a competent Yu-Gi-Oh deck. The way he's presenting it, I mean, I think it's quite obvious that it was more, I think he picked it more as like a meme, as like a kind of thing where, and I can kind of get behind that sentiment of like, hey, this format right now, it's interesting, but it's not super relevant because it's going to change so much in 2 to 3 weeks. that like you don't feel inclined to really go out there and cook, right? You just want to throw something together and just play, you know, just play a wacky fire deck, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, Rescue Ace is a good deck, and the Fire King engine, I don't think it hurts the deck much, right? He sacrificed a lot of non-engine spaces to just play a secondary, you know, Fire King package, like whatever, you know, have a secondary target for the Sinful Spoils card, and just go about it like this, right? And it's fine. And it kind of worked. I mean, it obviously worked. But it's just kind of like another fire good stuff pile, which like, okay, you know, is this better or worse than Fire King Snake Eye right now, or, you know, Fire King Tri Brigade, or any of the Diabellstar decks, right? Like, I don't know if it's better or worse, or it's definitely more wacky. But if it goes first and pulls off Turbulence, you're not doing shit to it probably, so it's fine. It's definitely a playable deck, even though it is more on the wacky side. But it's cool. I just think we kind of all have to collectively accept the fact that the year of the fire is coming, and the fire decks are already performing right now. And if you read Snake Eye Populace and Promethean Princess, you know what's up. You know what's about to happen to Yu-Gi-Oh! You know what's about to happen. If these decks are already able to perform right now, you just imagine what's going to happen in a couple weeks, right? We just have to embrace it. No, I will simply not read them, Smile. I will simply not read them. Okay. All right. Interesting deck though. Just goes to show the power of the wanted cards, if anything. You know, you can throw the wanted cards into almost anything and kind of cook with it, you know, so that's cool. Okay. I get to finally watch a Garrett Shire video. Is Shire how you say it? I actually need to know because I don't know. Is it Sheer? Shire? How do you pronounce this? So, anyways, Shrooch. Anyways, I've been wanting to react to one of his videos for a while now because I actually like them a lot. But then people have been sending me these two as like, you know, react to these, and I didn't want to react to someone analyzing my own games, or like, you know, basically like, you know, I felt like it felt weird to react to a video that's called freaking Joshua Schmidt 12 Years of Dominance or something like that. But I've been aware of the content, definitely. I've been aware of the content, and it's phenomenal. And it's basically competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Feature match analysis, that kind of stuff. And it's great. It's one of the things that I think people meant when they said, hey, competitive, we need more really competitive content on Yu-Gi-Oh! Out there. So I'm gonna link you guys the channel, just in case any of you guys are not subscribed or aware of Garrett yet. Make sure to go and I'll pin it right now. I'll pin it. Make sure to go and subscribe to Garrett. Give some love to Garrett. He's almost at 5,000 subscribers. You know, let's see if we can make that number go higher with all of you guys in here. And we're gonna watch his most recent video on Dinkabui. I believe this is probably, I mean, judging from the thumbnail, this is probably when Dinkabui won the YCS with Prankits, which, by the way, that shit happened before they got Meowmoo, which no one played Prankits. I will say, was I at this YCS? Well, I was at this YCS, but I played against, I played against Prankits pre-Meowmoo one time, and that was against freaking Herman Hansen on the bubble of, I believe, this very YCS. And I think I played Danger FTK. I think this was the /straw Danger FTK one that I lost in top 16 to Sky Strikers. But that's the level of rogue that Prankits was. I'm just telling you this for context, right? The level of rogue that Prankits was at this YCS was the Herman Hansen takes it to the tournament level. You know what I mean? So that's how rogue we're talking. That's how rogue we're talking. So yeah, it was very much unexpected, and that was the first time I playing against Herman in round number 11 or 12. I don't know how many rounds it had, probably 11. Playing against Herman in round 11 was one of the scariest things ever, because I had to read every single bracket. I didn't know them at that point. No one knew what they did. Now everyone knows what they do. Back then, no one did. I had no idea what was going on. I was so scared for the entire time that he would bring out some random prank fusion that I had never seen before. That kind of situation. Anyways.
So I want to start a video about trading card games with one of the most legendary moments in worldwide sports history. It's Jeremy Linsanity.
Who?
Tomorrow night, you go to New York and you deal with the Linsanity. Have you been following that story at all?
What?
Jeremy Lin, are you following that story at all?
No idea. I know who he is, but I don't really know what's going on too much with him.
Are you surprised at the production that Lin's had over the past week?
I don't even know what he's done.
The audio is a bit low. Okay, so the audio is low for me too, but I can't turn it up any higher. I guess I should really think about getting a freaking audio mixer for this. What I can do is I can turn my mic down a little bit, and then all of you guys can turn the stream up full volume so that you guys hear the video louder. Is that a deal? I can this, by the way, this is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh feature match. I can turn down my own volume a little bit, which I should have by now, so you guys can turn up the stream volume so that it's, yeah, okay.
Linsanity continues here at Madison Square Garden.
You get it.
As the undrafted point guard from Harvard electrifies MSG once again.
The couple in general, his chances. I don't know the deck is playing that well. Well, I just keep hearing stories of people saying I lost to Prank Kids and I don't know what they
Yeah, and I still don't know what they do after I lost to them. And the handshake, and there he goes.
Oh my god.
Dinkaboy takes it on with Prank Kids. He's the winner of YCS.
In early 2012, Jeremy Lin went from being a player who was barely in the NBA to being a national superstar overnight. He came off the bench of a struggling New York Knicks lineup, where a slew of injuries was the only reason he was even put on the court. This is where a player who no fan, no pundit, no coach or analyst even heard of started racking up triple doubles like it was nothing. Jeremy Lin would set the NBA on fire, and so Linsanity would last a full month. The Knicks would go on a 7-win streak, and the Jeremy Lin...
I get that he's just trying to make an analogy to Dinkaboy, how Dinkaboy just like came onto the scene, no one expected the decks he was doing well with, and so on and so forth. It still is a weird way to start a Yu-Gi-Oh video. I don't know.
Hype just consumed.
It's been 2 minutes.
But eventually things had to change. Knicks franchise player Carmelo Anthony had to return back to the starting lineup, and just like that, Linsanity was over. Knicks head coach Mike D'Antoni would end up resigning, and then the Linsanity system went ahead and crumbled. Jeremy Lin was no longer the Knicks superstar. And a lot of people say that Linsanity was one of the biggest underdog stories of sports history, but in my opinion, it's even more than that. Jeremy Lin was more than an underdog. And as YCS commentator Tom Payne puts it, as he watched Dinkaboy pull off the most incredible upset in YCS history.
Even like called an underdog? This was unknown.
In Yu-Gi-Oh!, the supposed best deck doesn't win all the events as often as you might think. Innovative duelists are able to find ways to beat the metagame, the game within a game, to outplay the mass majority of players, or some players can just play the best deck and still win. At Team YCS Sao Paulo, Pakawat Permonsa and his team with Kamal Crooks and Ruben Penaranda was able to pilot Unchained to win the whole event, a deck that had hardly been on anyone's radar prior. Joshua Schmidt was able to take Bestial Runic, a certainly known quantity, but certainly not in the top 10 decks to win that 20-deck format's YCS. There have been even times in the heat of a dice roll heavy nuclear bomb FTK format where, you know, people would just win on their first turn. Someone brought a deck from 2015 that was basically unchanged and won the UK National Championship with it.
I remember
Shout out
too.
Tom Rose.
That was crazy.
But all of these little upsets, YCS Milan was in a different solar system. The day is November 16th, 2018, and hitting store shelves is the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Side set, Hidden Summoners. However, the community sentiment regarding this set was, well...
And then I'm really gonna be harsh on this set. So you guys who want to white knight this in the comment sections and defend opening packs and all that, get your pitchforks ready. I don't think Prank Kids will be performing past the regional level, and it's gonna struggle.
Okay,
even
he's catching
there.
us straight.
I just don't see a future of them. And I'll eat my words if it tops a YCS. I will eat them.
If you didn't get it right there, Hidden Summoners was not a well-liked set upon release. It was kerplunked into the middle of a Firewall Dragon FTK format. A format where most competitively viable decks would seek to win the game on their first turn by completing an infinite loop of cards to win their game on the first turn. The primary enabler of this deck was Yu-Gi-Oh's Link Monster poster child.
Actually, activating Cannon Soldier 20 times is 10,000 damage.
Firewall Dragon, coining the term FTK, or first turn kill. Hidden Summoners brought in the Nephthys, Mayakashi, and Prank Kids archetypes. All decks that just couldn't hang in this kind of format. If it didn't FTK or could play up to 12 hand traps, it wasn't worth playing. The decks also utilized 3-card combos instead of 2-card combos, or were too slow, to which decks like Sky Strike...
To be fair, for the context of this video, the YCS that Dinkabui won was after the Firewall ban, right? So the FTK deck technically didn't exist anymore. I played a Slash Draw FTK, but the Firewall FTK didn't exist, and the Slash Draw FTK was very, very unpopular. But he's probably getting to that.
Outpace them in a longer game. In addition, with 3-card combos, it makes it difficult for your deck to execute their strategy consistently, and just fail to stack up to, well, an FTK format. And so, Hidden Summoners would be one of those sets that would just be lost to the sands of Yu-Gi-Oh! Times, and so little people paid any mind to it, and just continued their Firewall Dragon FTK. The day is November 30th, 2018. It's 9 days before YCS Milan, and you pick up your iPhone 6 to watch your favorite Yu-Gi tuber.
I think so, maybe, but it's just a bit odd. So, moving on down the list. All right, well, nothing banned so far. So, I mean, oh god, oh my god, oh, they fucking banned him. They fucking banned Firewall Dragon.
Firewall Dragon, the poster child of Link Monsters, a card that many people thought would never get banned because of its importance to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Storyline and anime and branding, well, had just been forbidden. Some were sad, but many rejoiced. It was the end of an era in Yu-Gi-Oh! But while people were celebrating, top players in the game were scrambling with only 9 days to find a new strategy that wasn't an FTK. If your deck was not named Sky Striker, it basically had to play some form of Firewall Dragon. So what can we even do now? Common consensus descended onto one of the few decks that could already sort of function without Firewall Dragon. These were the newly released in Soul Fusion just a couple months earlier, Thunder Dragons. Thunder Dragons were already a known combo deck that could utilize the huge combos that Link Monsters allowed, but it could also function
Didn't we already have Orchest? No. This was not. No, this was not. No. I mistook. Oh no. You know why I mistook it? It's because we had another YCS Milan the year later, and that was the Orcus Sky Striker one. Yeah, that was the Orcus Sky. I mixed the two up in my head because there's another YCS Milan a year down the line, and that one is with Orcus Sky Striker.
Firewall Dragon with in-archetype win conditions like Thunder Dragon Colossus, slowing the game down to a halt. Also backed up with massive monsters like Thunder Dragon Titan. Thunder Dragons could slow down the game, basically stun your opponent out, and then just switch all their monsters on the next turn and attack for game. Most combo decks would just wither in the face of a Thunder Dragon Colossus, preventing you from adding cards from your deck to your hand. Alongside the fact that Thunders just had a very good resource loop, so they could also enter into grind games and play out a back and forth game if needed. If your opponent wasn't playing an FTK, Thunder Dragon Colossus was the next format super threat. However, opposing the Thunder Dragon deck was an already known quantity in Sky Striker. Sky Striker was a control deck that could play enough hand traps to stop the FTK, and if the game dragged out into a long amount of turns, would be the most favored deck to win, as well as being deadly consistent with the only starter you need being Sky Striker Ace Ray to get your snowball rolling. And with the quick play spell Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor being one of the most incredible forms of effect negation and removal for the time. So now with 9 days to Milan, those were the two premier decks at the forefront of the Yu-Gi-Oh community. These decks were safe, known quantity, and it's hard to guess other decks that could realistic.
For some reason, I remember so few about this specific format, like what the other options were. Because I think it's because all I did after the firewall ban for 9 days was we were just labbing other ways to abuse the dangers for FTKs. Like we just locked ourselves up in a chamber and tried to come up with different ways on FTKing, right?
Compete. Thunder Dragon Colossus could check Sky Striker, and at the time it was mostly considered that Sky Striker could deal with any rogue threat. Sky Striker was just a better deck than any deck that has been printed prior to it. There were some last Dark Warrior,
because it was like the crucial thing about that ban list was that yes, it banned Firewall, but it didn't touch the dangers at all, right? There was no danger on it. I think I still had all the dangers at YCS Milan. So the ability to still pretty much draw your entire deck was still completely intact, right? Gumblar was not legal in Europe yet. I'm pretty sure. I don't think we had Gumblar.
Haraz, despite losing Firewall Dragon, a deck's like
all it was. I like I said, I don't remember exactly.
Guys would also emerge trying to
Summon Sork was the one.
The Sky Striker strategy, being able to play copies of Secret Village of the Spellcasters to prevent Sky Striker players from activating one of their 30 to 35 spells in their main deck. And so just like that, that's your format for YCS Milan. Close the book and let's play. But one person who didn't do that was Dinka Bui.
Wait, that was the top 8 of this event?
Spells in their main deck. And so just like that, that's your format for YCS Milan. Close the book and let's play. But one person who...
No, it's not. It can't be. This is top 8 of the 200, the 200th probably. Yeah, this is top 8 of the one that Nico won. Utrecht. Because this one doesn't even have Federico in it, because Federico was in the finals at the... Okay, well, anyways.
Didn't do that was Dinka Bui. In a format slated to be dominated by Sky Striker, Thunder Dragons, the last hurrah of FTKs, and floodgates galore, Dinka Bui decided to load up with Prank Kids from Hidden Summers. Earlier that year, Dinka Bui had done something extremely similar. He had brought Burning Abyss to a 2,300 player tournament and scored his first runner-up position and YCS top. He's gonna pull it off again.
Wait, that was Dinka's first YCS top? I didn't know that. I suppose I need to brush up on my Dinka Bui lore.
Even bigger upset in Prank Kids. So let's see what this deck is actually going to do. Prank Kids are a link summoning and fusion summoning spam strategy. Okay, hold on, quick aside. The card art on this card, they're just so good. Like, they tell so many stories in just a single image. Anyways, back to the video. How they accomplish this is that each Prank Kid has an effect that when used as a material for a Prank Kid's extra deck summon, can summon another Prank Kid from the deck, giving them an explosive amount of link infusion material every turn. Alongside the fact that all extra deck monsters have ways to recur Prank Kids from the graveyard back to the field.
Yeah.
So if you aren't going to do a good job at clearing a Prank Kid's field, you're in for a nasty OTK going into turn 3. Also, the end board was oppressive, with Prank Kids Pandemonium able to fusion summon into Battle Butler, a quick effect Raigeki during your opponent's turn that could put a number in the various combo piles and Thunder Dragon decks running around the tournament. And if you needed help dealing with back row, the Link 4 could do the same for spells and traps in Rip Roaring Roaster. Despite all these awesome sounding effects, Prank Kids is not a good deck.
It basically, it had all of the grind game, all of the combo potential already, which was actually, I want to say, almost ahead of its time. The entire, like, dude, if you open Poly and 2 Prank Kids, that shit went so hard. The grind game and all that stuff, but what it didn't have was like consistency. It didn't have starters. Like, it was, you needed to draw like Poly plus 2 Prank Kids or some shit like that. Like, it was like 3 card combos type of shit. With it was completely fixed with the Link 1, obviously. That's all they needed was one Link 1. It didn't even need a freaking effect on it. But like, that's what made it completely insane. But it was like, it was all 3 card combos, except that instant fusion could work, like instant fusion plus Prank Kid or something like that.
There are many glaring weaknesses. To begin, in this format, there are 1 card combos, with Sky Striker Ace Ray able to start a snowball going for the Sky Striker strategy. The normal summon of Armageddon Knight is a complete full Dark Warrior combo. Thunder Dragon has Battery Man Solar to start a lot of its plays, but Prank Kids doesn't have this kind of consistency. Instead, a lot of Prank Kids' hands needs to start by drawing 2 Prank Kids and a fusion spell to keep going, which is basically a 3 card combo. Yeah. So the deck on paper is just a brick fest, and in practice, it is pretty close to it as well. Prank Kids needed something external to actually push it to be able to not just top an event, but win. And that was the format. Thunder Dragon and Sky Strikers were slated to be the best deck, and Prank Kid had an unbelievably one-sided matchup versus Thunder Dragons. With Thunder Dragon Colossus that I've been talking about, Prank Kids are one of the only decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That do not need to add cards from their deck to their hand. They just summon Prank Kids from the deck. It
only prevents the bird from searching, right? Again. The Link 2?
I am heavy weapons guy.
Prank Kids were skipping steps in that time of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Thunder Dragon didn't have much else besides the Thunder Dragon Colossus preventing
and
searching.
Field Spell, true.
So as long as your deck was able to play through Colossus, it wasn't really a big problem. The issue was, there were hardly any decks that could. And the big thing as well for Prank Kids is they could make one of Thunder Dragon's biggest counters, but it wasn't really realized until after the event, and that was Borreload Dragon. Borreload Dragon would be able to take control of an opponent's Thunder Dragon Colossus, and funnily enough, Thunder Dragons couldn't play through their own Floodgate effect. So Prank Kids had a basically auto-win matchup versus one of the premier decks in the format, and it was Dinkabui, the only person who recognized that. Now, I could rave about how great a Sky Striker matchup like this deck had, but played perfectly, Sky Striker honestly had a pretty advantageous moment versus Prank Kids. The key card in the Prank Kids deck was Prank Kids Doodle Doo, a Link 2 that could add any Prank Kids spell trap from the deck to their hand, allowing you to get Prank Kids Pandemonium and begin to execute tons of fusion plays. One Widow Anchor on a Doodle Doo could do a number onto the Prank Kids board, and the Sky Striker player has a very high chance of making it to the next turn and continuing the long game plan that Sky Striker seeks to execute. But this segment is all about external factors, and there's one extra thing that helped Dinka win this matchup. No one had bothered to read a single Prank Kids card prior to this event, and Dinka Bui was gonna weaponize that. You have to try and figure things out on the fly, instead of sitting down for hours trying to understand what the Prank Kid strategy is trying to accomplish. That is the advantage Dinka was wielding. He's playing an objectively worse deck, but no one knows what his things do. So going into Swiss, Dinka ends 9-2.
I don't think it's necessarily true that the deck is objectively worse. It was just objectively less consistent than other decks. But I would say a Prank Kid hand that actually plays the game is fucking scary. Like because you notice specifically Sky Striker and Thunder Dragon, like there were some really over the top combo decks in the format. Like still a little bit of, you know, Dark Warrior, some very few FTKs, but mostly Sky Striker and Thunder Dragon are relatively grindy decks. And if Prank Kids opens playable, that deck outgrinds both of those decks. Like unironically, it just does, right? And so I don't think it's objectively worse than other decks at the time. It's just significantly more inconsistent. But if it hits a playable hand, it's almost unstoppable by the meta decks in that format. So like, it's just a very high risk, high reward kind of strategy that also, because people just dismissed it at first glance, didn't even get explored that much, right?
He even gets onto a feature match where he plays against a Gem Knight FTK player. The problem is, his opponent knows exactly what all the Prank Kids cards do.
I have the full Prank Kid deck in my bag currently. Oh. I've read all of the cards thoroughly, and I've played out locals a bunch, but I don't know any of the combos with the new card.
But
that's so unfortunate to play against Vlad, who's like 1 out of 5 people at the entire venue maybe who's read a Prank Kids card. That's unfortunate.
Not many people were as fortunate as that Pendulum Magician player. Dinka tears through a Thunder Dragon and Sky Striker laden top cut, and he's fortunate enough to dodge the very difficult Altergeist matchup that his deck has. He played another couple feature matches here and there where he actually took down Andres Torres. At the time, was not as decorated, but was the winner of YCS Mexico City and won UDS Monterrey. He is one of the greatest duelists who is playing impeccable Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, but even in the top 4, people still don't know what Prank Kids cards do. So Dinka Bui is in the zone. After taking down one of Yu-Gi-Oh's greatest players of all time, he has one more hurdle to jump over. Federico Makotsi. Federico is in and out of top cuts. He has a chance to achieve the Yu-Gi-Oh dream, however, to win a YCS at only age 18. This year, he made top 64 at the European Championships, and finds himself piloting a strong Thunder Dragon deck through Top Get. But Dinka has his Fork and Knight out to take down yet another Thunder Dragon opponent. So let's see what the most insane meta call and the biggest upset in YCS history looks like. In game 1, Dinka executes his optimal but oppressive combo. It's just a single Link Monster and one set Prank Kids Pandemonium. It really is just that simple. So Federico moves to play, and even establishes an exceptional...
What was called by at that time? How many called bys did we have? I don't remember. Like because it's already out. I know we already have called by. Is it still 3? Did people play 3? Because isn't this opener really weak to called by, or this deck in general? Did people not really play it? I don't remember. It could be that it was at 3, but people didn't play it in this particular format. But it seems good against Thunder Dragon. And it's good against Sky Striker. But, I don't know. Like, it's good against Sky Striker, right? Because you can hit Ray, you can hit hand traps. Should be okay against Thunder Dragons. Not sure. But... because that's what I'm thinking right now. Like, I'm seeing this endboard and I'm like, yeah, this is really good for the time. But if you get hit with a called by on this dude, on the Bow Wow Bark on the opponent's turn, Because this is quick effect to add back too, right? And so if you get called by it on that, you don't have the material to fuse, probably.
Strong Thunder Dragon combo. But as he plays, Dinka isn't even moving. Remember, this Prank Kid's Pandemonium can summon a Battle Butler whenever he'd like. But Dinka realizes that Battle Butler is not his win condition here. The thought process here for Dinka is that if he wastes his Battle Butler early on, there's possibilities that Federico could just have the right extenders and maybe wind up OTKing Dinka instead. So Ka instead goes for Weather Washer, which is opting to play a slow grinding game. The monsters he summons back cannot be destroyed by battle through Weather Washer's effect.
True.
So they can make it to the next turn to be fuel for a crackback. But despite facing down double Colossus and Titan, which is the premier end board of the format, with most decks probably just instantly conceding when they see this, Dinka will play on to win game 1. But look, I'm not here to show you what a YCS winning sequence looks like in the very first game. Let's watch Dinka pull off the biggest upset in YCS history. Remember, Dinka is playing a, quote, bad deck whose cards the Yu-Gi-Oh community refused to read up until Dinka was activating them on
We did refuse to read it. Let's admit it, we did refuse to read it. It's not like we didn't know it existed, we just didn't read it. We were like, okay, no. Everyone had, there was one person in the Yu-Gi-Oh community that just like, we all know that one person that we go to and we ask them like, hey, this new archetype, you've already read it, like, is it worth checking out? And they're like, nah, don't bother, it's not good, right? So there's somewhere there was one person in the universe that has read the Prank Kids card and has told everyone else not to read them, and we all were like, okay, yeah, we won't.
Screen to turn the premier end board into mincemeat. In game 2, Federico goes first with his Thunder Dragon deck. But again, there is no known strategy to beat Prank Kids. So Federico just does what he's been doing this entire tournament. It's double Colossus and Titan once again. But this is the exact end board that Dinka wants to play into. Again, many decks in this format would just concede when they see this.
It's not like Thunder Dragon has much of a like choice to do something else. It's just not really possible of like, it's not really capable of doing anything else. That's what Thunder Dragon did.
Unless they open the perfect hand to deal with it. But Dinka's deck is made for this. Now, he hasn't opened wildly awesome with something like an instant fusion. It's a couple of Prank Kids in a fusion spell and a Called by the Grave,
I mean, that's
which,
a really good
to be fair, he hardly even needs. First, Ka fires a Pot of Desires, removing the top 10 cards of his deck from the duel in order to draw 2 cards. This finds him another Prank Kid and an Infinite Impermanence. And like an absolute gamer, he doesn't even use the Infinite Impermanence to stop the Thunder Dragon Titan from being able to destroy cards in his field. It's Chainlink 1 Fansies, Chainlink 2 Roxy's, Chainlink 3 Rocket Ride. Fansies dumps Prank Kids plan, the chain resolves, and 2 more Prank Kids come out from the deck. No shame to our commentator friends, Marcello and Tom Payne, but this just goes to show how little people knew about Prank Kids.
It's not that easy to clear this board, even for Prank Kids. From what we saw, at least, the main way to do it was borrow load.
They just mess about until they draw borrow load.
Yeah, so unless they summon, I don't know, a Phoenix easy play.
Dinka is kind of in a weird spot this turn. Surprisingly, he might have wanted any other fusion spell to go into his Rocket Ride. Prank Kids Pandemonium locks him into only summoning Prank Kids for the rest of the turn, so he can't access cards like Borreload Dragon in order to take control of Federico's Colossus, the main win condition here for Dinka. So in this board state, Federico decides to use his only point of interaction to try and destroy Dinka's Rocket Ride, by using Thunder Dragon Matrix trying to trigger his Titan. But Dinka just has Called By, so it never even mattered. Federico, with no forms of interruption, just has to sit and watch as Dinka executes a full Prank Kids combo. Rocket Ride goes to tribute itself to summon the remaining 2 Prank Kids in the graveyard. With 4 Prank Kids on the field, Dinka link summons into Bow Wow Bart, using the remaining 2 Prank Kids to summon 2 more Prank Kids from the deck. And you can just see the never-ending sea of link material out of the deck that everyone just wrote off. Here's the link summon of Doodle Doo, and fortunate for Dinka, he drew into another polymerization off of his Prank Kids Roxy's, which allows him to fusion summon into a Weather Washer. Backing that up, he uses Doodle Doo to add back a Prank Kids Pandemonium and another Prank Kid. So he goes Weather Washer and Pandemonium Pass, which is nearly a mirror of the first game. It's probably what Dinka's also been doing all tournament to beat his Thunder Dragon.
It looks like so few.
The goal here
is look like such a small board, but it's just it's such a pain in the ass to deal with, man.
For Dinka is to get it back to his turn, prevent the potential OTK from Federico in order to make a Borload Dragon, in order to start picking apart the board of Federico. From his empty hand, Federico draws into a very nice gold sarcophagus, which can banish any monster from his deck. But in the draw phase, Dinka uses his Weather Washer to resummon 2 Link monsters from the graveyard for some incredible card value. Bow Wow Bark contribute itself to add back more Prank Kid monsters from the graveyard to the hand to make a Battle Butler.
Called by must have been not very popular, because this deck gets cooked by Called by the Grave.
Or any fusion summon with the set Pandemonium live. Federico will go to attempt to trigger his Thunder Dragon Titan, but Dinka Bui has so many ways to stop the Thunder Dragon Titan from connecting for a pop, alongside the fact that his Doodle Doo cannot be destroyed by battle. So as Federico tries to enter the battle phase, Dinka just goes Pandemonium right into a Battle Butler, which floods the fields with 3 more Prank Kids effect triggering. So much so that Dinka has actually run out of Prank Kids in his deck because of his Pot of Desires.
Yeah.
Federico probably was better off maybe not even attacking here, but with time running low, he needs to get damage in. This forces him to play into Dinka's Prank Kids plan in the graveyard. Another huge card that people are not expecting to be as good as it really is.
Shit, right.
Prank
They
Kids
played that
plan,
back in the
when
day.
your opponent declares an attack, can put back as many Prank Kids cards in the graveyard back into the deck to reduce the attack of the monster. It's not the attack reduction that's the big deal, it's the fact that Dinka gets to shuffle back sometimes 8 or more cards back into his deck and extra deck to create a near infinite grind game.
Is this
against
supposed
even the
to
most
represent grind game?
deck
This thing
at the cost of a couple bricks in his deck. Federico is unable to completely clear the field of Dinka, just as Dinka intended. So Ka gets played back to himself, where he has 3 monsters still remaining on his field. So Dinka just link summons into the ace against Thunder Dragons. It's Borload. And the crowd knows what this means.
Once again, they enjoy the Borload.
Nice enough for Dinka, he even gets an instant fusion off the top of his deck.
The crowd probably going crazy. You can't blame them. This deck was definitely the underdog of the event, and it seems like he's gonna be winning.
Called an underdog? This was unknown.
Yeah, not even.
And it's a one-stop shop right into Rocket Ride. Dinka fires away, Link climbing all the way into a Boral Sword Dragon.
Shot from the crowd, we probably gonna get down from the 10.
Was he gonna make a Boral Sword as well?
Wow.
Dinka does not need the clock to favor him, because as the clock strikes 0, he is swinging for game. Dinka Bui wins YCS Milan with Prank Kids.
Obliterated.
With Prank Kids is the winner of YCS Milan 2018. That was insane. We had a lot of emotions all week.
Afterwards, this win would send shockwaves through the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Everyone wanted to try their luck with the craziest deck to win a YCS, Prank Kids. However, it would take another 3.5 years for the deck to ever find more competitive success after Milan. Why was this not the deck of the format? Why, it's supposed to be the Thunder Dragon killer. The problem? People read the cards. Prank Kids had found a perfect storm of a metagame to jump into. Fresh off a Banlist with a set community mindset in play for most of pro players, Dinka Bui found the perfect time to uncork an off-the-wall strategy. But after YCS Milan, people knew what Prank Kids did, were aware of the threat, and found out the conditions that they needed to beat the deck. For example, the biggest choke point in the deck was Prank Kid's Doodle Doo. This card can add any Prank Kid spell trap, which typically gets Pandemonium in order to allow fusion summons on their opponent's turn. Problem is, if an Infinite Impermanence or Effect Veiler hits this card, you are cut off from your biggest form of interruption and recursion your deck has. Dinka did what everyone dreams to do in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But something like this may never ever happen again. Yu-Gi-Oh! Media is expanding. People are genuinely reading all the cards, no matter how good or bad they are. Yu-Gi-Oh! Players from 5 years ago are 5 times better now as well. Information spreads more quickly. People understand how to beat these decks. I mean,
I think this sort of stuff can definitely still happen though. Like I think this just goes to show once again how one of the beauties, or one of the beautiful things about this game, which is also one of the hardest things about this game, is that the metagame really, the metagame or the decks that are popular is something that it changes so drastically from event to event, and if things like this are really things that, you know, you need to make these kind of calls beforehand, right? Like you can't just pick up a deck that won the last tournament and expect to win the next tournament, because information is a huge kind of thing, and the perception of what's popular and what's not popular and what's going to be at the top tables and what's not going to be there highly impacts on how people build their decks, right? And it's Prank Kids, apparently, I still don't know the Prank Kids deck from back in the day inside out. I never played it after this event either. But Prank Kids seem to have an insane matchup against Sky Striker and Thunder Dragon, and therefore it was bricky, but it still was a really good meta call for this event, right? And you needed to make it at that event. You can't make that call at the next event, because then people play like Called by the Grave, and then it counters it or something like that, you know, or like people are aware of the deck now and dedicate a couple side deck slots to it, you know. It's very interesting to see these kind of things happen, but they happen over and over and over again, you know, at different levels of events, at different levels of success as well. You know, someone maybe tops with a deck that no one expected, someone gets to top 8 with a deck that no one expected, someone wins with a deck that no one expected. I don't know, or it can be small things too, right? A deck being good because no one is playing specific tech cards against it, right? You know, because those have fallen out of favor, whatever. Like these mini kind of things, these mini meta calls that people make all the time, and you just need to stay ahead of the curve rather than behind the curve. Basically, is one of the beautiful things. It requires a lot of work though to make a call like this one. Like it's a thing that I'm pretty sure Dinka Bui had Prank Kids on his radar for a while and knew, like, okay, this deck has potential if the circumstances are right. And then he recognized, okay, these are the circumstances that I was looking for. And I know this deck, I believe in this deck, and I can bring it to this YCS. I know the Striker matchup's good. I know the Thunder Dragon matchup's good. I'm gonna take it here, right? So I think it was super cool at the time.
Shoot, content creators are giving away free information when back then it was just deck profiles and metagame reports. It is very difficult to do what Dinka did in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But he still finds ways even to this day.
I think you could argue that, yes, there is more information out these days. At the same time, more information doesn't necessarily mean like that everyone... I think it's still very, very common that people don't know about certain decks or anything like that. People still... More information usually is like... It's like disproportionate amount of information is being produced for like the stuff that people already perceive as good, as worth making content about. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you have more content about rogue decks too these days, but you have 10 times more content about the meta stuff, right? That really makes it so that the people perception of what is meta is also, I feel like, kind of distorted. You know what I mean? There's always going to be decks that are way more popular than others, and content creation is going to mostly focus on those. and then you can find a spot in where that goes. I think the only reason that makes it stuff like this hard in the current day is that at least in the last barring tier Ishizu tier 0 format, it's very rare that we have formats that revolve around, like, let's say 2 to 3 decks. It was like in Sprite and tier limit format, something like this was possible. And there was innovation in Sprite and tier format. I mean, think of freaking Mystic Mind Beat Cop, something like that. It's not an entirely new deck, but it was a very good discovery for that format that completely changed. You know, it beat two of the top decks, right? It's harder to make, the more different decks you have, the harder it is to have this kind of thing, where you have, because if you find a strategy, if you find a new rogue strategy that no one's been paying attention to, it's possible to make it work against, maybe it works against 2 of the current top decks, but if there's 10 or 15 different ones that you have to prepare for, it's very likely that your rogue deck is not going to have a favorable matchup against 15 different decks, because it wouldn't be a rogue deck otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Like, there might be rogue decks out there that completely annihilate Rescue Ace for some random reason. I don't know what that reason would be. Maybe the entire archetype is untargetable or some shit like that, but it's otherwise completely mediocre, right? But your deck completely destroying Rescue Ace doesn't matter if there's 10 other decks in Swiss that you have to worry about, for example, right? Just an example, a hypothetical. So innovation, while in a diverse format you have a lot more options, I think innovation is a little bit harder in those, which is, it might seem counterintuitive, but I think innovation sometimes is a little bit easier when there is less decks you have to innovate for, if that makes sense.
But I don't want to actually say that this is some sort of Prank Kid's accomplishment. It's more an accomplishment for Dinkabui. This was his crown jewel in his Yu-Gi-Oh career. He was the man who connected all the dots for the perfect moment. This was his defining achievement as a player. This wasn't luck for him. He's done this kind of upset before, bringing a weird, unknown deck and doing well with it. It just happened that he took it to a YCS and then won with it. And
I mean, he keeps doing it to this day, right? He keeps coming up with decks that you look at it and you're like, that's genius. How does he come up with it? You know, Runic Furhire, Runic Naturia, the Labyrinth setup, Labyrinth list, you know.
Some players will fade out of existence after getting their big rogue victory, but Dinkabui is still one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most relevant players to this day. The past 2 years for Dinkabui, he has had more impact than just winning a YCS. He has invented numerous decks that have changed the Yu-Gi-Oh format. Every tournament, he finds a way to innovate. He never shows up with anything standard. Everything this guy makes is studied, and that is more valuable than any number of YCS wins. Thanks for watching.
Pog. I like that. It was a good one. It was a good one. All right. Link to the channel is pinned if you guys want to subscribe to Garrett. There's after credit. Oh.
Wait. Okay. So in 2021, Prank Kids got like the most broken piece of legacy support like ever printed. It's a Link 1 for the Link deck. So the deck then became meta. It did some silly stuff for literally a year, like Pack won a YCS with it, and then boom, Yamu got banned, deck dead. Now Prank Kids is still irrelevant. Bye.
Okay.
That being said, shout out to you, Zachary Jones, for staying with it on the bubble. On that note, folks, peace.
All right. We almost missed the post-credit. We almost missed the post-credit. Mod check upvote. Okay, I'll upvote it. I upvoted it. Okay. We have about 45 minutes. Chat. We have about 45 minutes until we get the supposedly, word on the street, I don't know if it's true, people in chat have been saying today is the day we get Maze of Millennia openings. So we have about 45 minutes until we know what rarity Bonfire is, which, I mean, I'm expecting it to be an ultra rare, which is the highest rarity possible in the set, but, you know, who knows, maybe there's hope for it to be a freaking super rare or anything like that, you know? But there's also new cards in it, isn't there? But we'll see. 45 minutes seems like the kind of perfect time to take a look at the finals of the Italian Open, which was also streamed yesterday on the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG stream. So they did end up winning. That's what I've been thinking this entire time. You know, I was sitting here. No, that's the same thing. No. When I looked at it earlier, right? When I looked at it earlier, Jordan, it says 8 wins, 0, like 8-0-0, and 7. I thought Aimi or Aimi, I'm not sure how you say it. I'm sorry. Has 1 loss. I thought it was 1 draw. And I thought the winner of this would be the winner of the tournament. And so when they said earlier that Rescue Ace won the Open, I thought that it must have meant that they won this match, right? And so that's how I got confused. That's how I got confused. But I guess that made it funnier, because then it made it more exciting, because I was like, how the hell are you losing this game going first? Like, your hand is good, everything is fine, you can play with the droll, you can play through the bell, how are you losing? And then they're just in chat, they're like, no, I'm not losing. And I'm like, oh, so you drew and that's how they won. And he's like, no, I won, Giga Chat. And I'm like, okay, well, someone lied, but no, okay, I just mistook the loss for a draw. Because I'm just sitting here all like, yeah, how did you manage to lose this? And they're like, I didn't. So you drew? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. All right, we have successfully, this could have not gone any better. Because we are right through with all the things I had planned for today at exactly 4:59. So we have about a minute until the supposed Maze of Millennia or Maze of Millennium, whatever it's called, openings on YouTube. I hope it's today. It would make sense because they are releasing next week. Is precisely, I think in Europe it's next week Thursday, so in 10 days. JSW, thank you for the 16 months. Also, everyone else who subscribed during sometimes when I watch other content, I am kind of distracted, but thank you. I appreciate all the subs. Thank you guys so much for the support. And we are about to tick into 5 p.m. and we're going to check out these maze openings, hopefully. Now it is 5 p.m. Okay, where do I go to F5? Where do I go? Okay, I mean, I won't make a statement on whether the set is insane or not yet, because we haven't seen it in full. We're gonna probably do that tomorrow. Once, like, I'm sure until tomorrow someone is gonna have compiled all the information from all these openings, and we'll know the majority of the set, all the new cards somewhere that we're gonna look at in all detail tomorrow. But I think first impression, I mean, it's a maze set, right? We didn't expect much. We expected Bonfire, we expected Transaction Rollback, and that was about it, right? And we got a lot more than what we expected, at the very least. Whether that makes it just mid, or okay, or good, or insane, I don't know. But we expected Transaction Rollback and Bonfire, and we got Rescue Ace reprints, Bunbuku, and Thrust. And that's pretty damn good compared to what we were expecting. It could have been much, much worse. Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it turns out. But interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. We're gonna look at the new Flame Swordsman support tomorrow and all that good stuff. Until then, I hope you enjoyed the stream, ladies and gentlemen, duelists. That's going to be it for today. I'm going to see where I send you guys for a little raid action. Let me see who's live right now. Who is streaming? Who is streaming? Where can I send you guys? Let's pick someone I haven't raided yet. Since Farfa isn't live, pick someone who's going to appreciate the people. Someone small. Here, deck building and pack opening. Let's do that. All right. All right. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And thank you for watching. Thank you for all the subs, all the follows as usual. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Peace, everybody. Bye.